Oh no.
Oh no.
It's very early, Davey.
It's very early and I feel very unprepared, Oliver.
Me as well. Welcome to episode 43 of The Ride Companion. We have a guest today. And
Hopefully.
It's very early. Hopefully, maybe, yeah. Never quite know, do you?
No, we never know. When the pro podcaster's texting you saying, can I join on my phone? Do I need this? Do I need that? Like, it's worrying. And I don't know. But with a little bit of luck, ladies and gentlemen, we got the number one Gypsy. The Joe Rogan of action sports, I call him. My mentor in the podcast space. Life mentor. Wow, that's a good intro, actually.
Life mentor.
Probably should have waited for that.
This is a serious intro.
Probably should have waited for that one. But yeah, Jase Macalpine of Gypsy Tales is hopefully going to be joining us shortly, ladies and gentlemen. But we will see. We don't know. I'm keeping an eye on my messages right now. He's gone a little bit quiet. Yeah, maybe we just don't have that. Got to win a Supercross to get on that show, mate. And to get him to come on here, maybe we got to be a little more high profile. I don't know.
Maybe we got to be higher up in that list. Maybe, yeah.
Maybe.
We need people to unsubscribe. We need to put more people to do more of the tasks. Maybe.
Yeah, please. Because then maybe we get taken more seriously. So if you're listening,
the
folks,
homework.
unsubscribe, subscribe again, and then resubscribe again, and unsubscribe, and comment, and like, and share.
How many people do you reckon we lost through the confusion associated with subscribing and then unsubscribing and then subscribing again?
People were like, they want me to unsubscribe? How does this help? Okay.
Just like getting off the train and then not getting back on it again.
Yeah.
So actually,
life's quite good without these two guys. It's all right.
Much better.
I don't know. Yeah, it's early, man. It's early, gang. It's the first time I guess we've ever done a 8 a.m. podcast before.
Probably is, isn't it, dude?
Yeah, I think so. We always, 10 a.m.'s usually, I feel like, the earliest that we do these things. And those couple of hours make a difference, dude, especially on a bank holiday. Holiday Monday. So we're on double time today.
Yeah, when would be your, chosen time? When do you feel like you're, are you a night owl, dude? Or are you an early?
I think with a podcast, I feel like I do actually like the nighttime stuff, yeah.
I do as well. I think I do.
It just depends how the day's gone and stuff. But I've definitely learned over this pandemic time, we're working at home more, when my brain works. So, So,
right, quickly do the intro.
My dude.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Yeah, not too bad, eh?
Dude, we're actually recording, but we could always stop this, but it seems to be working pretty good if you want to drop straight in on this thing.
I'm going to just move my camera down a tiny bit, and then...
All right.
I've got an elaborate setup for you.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was at home, and then I was like, what's the point of having such a fucking sick studio if I don't actually use it?
That's a fair point, man. I think that all the time.
So I'm just like... Okay.
And I want a studio.
Huh?
What?
I want a studio, mate. I've been thinking about it over the weekend, and I got an idea for you, which I'll talk to you about after we've recorded. Because I don't want to call it out on here, but yeah, I got an idea. We can do something maybe.
Jase has got a killer studio,
Yeah.
Where a bit? This one here is pretty cool.
Did you just say where? That was real gangster. If you just said where, which one?
I didn't know which one you meant, to be honest.
Fucking hell, you're gangster when you're rolling on 2 studios.
Well, 3, Davey.
3 days. All right. 3.
This is a triple studio, fucker. This is a triple studio guy.
That's funny. All right, is that all good for you boys?
Yeah, that's perfect. That's the dream. Good on you, mate.
I'll send you a photo of how this looks for me. It's fucking hilarious.
Oh, really? Please. That's cool.
And then you'll have to forward it to Ollie, because we need a group chat, Ollie.
I'll get that set up. I'll get that set up straight after.
So this is what a real studio looks like.
Yeah.
And I'll send you one of mine after, which is it's been improved recently with the neon sign. The boys at Neon Filter IG came through, hooked up the signs, but
where
I can't have.
Are they in the UK or what?
Yeah, they're probably. They seem to work with anyone and everyone. They seem to be pretty big in the old neon filter game. to be honest.
We'll make an introduction.
Perfect.
Yeah, please.
Yeah,
Speaking of
would you like to use a
introductions,
sign?
yeah, you could use a sign, dude, for sure. I mean, if Rogan's got a sign, we've got a sign. You need a
I
sign.
need a sign. It's
It's
a
a sign.
Dude, you
sign
need
that I to
3.
sign.
You need 3. That's the problem.
Yeah, these things don't come cheap either, so you need 3 of these things.
I'm a
Oh, man. Yeah, speaking of introductions, you guys have never even met each other, so I'm going to be that guy that says, Ollie meet Jase, Jase meet Ollie. We're doing it live on a podcast because that's just the sort of shit that we do. But it's
Nice
it's
to meet you.
awesome to get you guys to connect, and obviously for me it's great to see your face, Jase. Although we do speak quite a bit, it's always nice to have you on here.
Jase,
Well,
I feel as though I've already met you, and I
was
feel
about
as
to
though
say
that
the
is...
same thing.
Yeah, that is a podcast thing, isn't it? It's fucked.
Yeah.
I think that is really... I think it's really strange, feeling like you know someone. And I feel like
Yeah,
you do
and
know
then-
someone to a certain extent.
Yeah, you definitely do, but I think it's probably even more for us because I speak to Davey probably once or twice a week, maybe, or once every couple of weeks, and then he's always talking about you guys and like your show. So I feel like I've got even that like extra level, you know.
Yeah.
It's
Totally.
been weird though, man. I mean, like, we've come on a bit of a journey over the last few years, and that's the crazy thing. I mean, Jase, when we first connected, this whole thing that we do now was like totally different. And then over the last couple of years, basically what happened is Ollie came on the show and he was like, look, man, if you want to use the audio, you're going to have to give me 50% of the platform. And I was like, this guy drives a pretty hard bargain. He bullied me into it, and here we are. Like, I can't shake the guy off, man. He's in. He's in.
You just need to start jiu-jitsu, bro.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that thing I've been threatening to do for 5 years or something.
No.
Yeah, I don't have anything in me.
Yeah, it's awesome. I was wondering before when it would have been in the whole Gypsy Tales thing when I did your podcast for the first time. Because I wouldn't...
Oh, man.
It was pretty early days.
It was early, and the coolest thing was, and, you know, we just spoke about people knowing you and you know, even like listeners obviously feeling like they know you and they're a part of you. I remember a listener coming into the DMs and was like, you will love this podcast, listen to it. And you get that stuff all the time, you know, you click on it and you're like, it's a quantum physics podcast. This isn't me. Like, you don't know me at all. But this guy, and obviously I clicked Gypsy Tales, I seen the guest. It was like, I think Robbie Madison might have just been on. So it's that long ago. It was like Maddo, a few others. And I was like, this is the actual thing that I've been searching for. This is the thing I'm trying to like make. And there's someone doing it, and not just doing it way better than I could ever even like conceive, you know, way better. And, that's when I reached out. I was like, dude, like, I just want to connect. I want to know you. I want to be friends with you. I want to learn more. And, I think we just did that getting to know each other thing through a podcast. So we're like, right, let's just record and we'll just see what comes up. And then I'd like to listen back, actually. I bet it was me just like quizzing you on like, how do you do this? How did you do that?
Yeah, dude, it'd be crazy to listen back to that now. But yeah, I remember that was like super early days, and I was just excited because I didn't know anybody that had a podcast. So
Really?
kind of yeah. You were like my first podcast friend. Like, I didn't
Wow.
have anybody else that I really kind of talked to. Like, I knew some people that were in more of like a mainstream lane, but it wasn't like a conversation that I could kind of have. You know, like, it just wasn't the same deal. And then, yeah, we were literally peers. So it was like you were the first peer that I was friends with in this game. And it's still kind of the same, you know. We've got like a group chat that we sort of are in with like the rest of the, you know, the mountain bike podcast boys. And because it's weird, like, it's weird to not have co-workers in a sense, or people that you can kind of relate to in this game. And I think it's why me and Brian Deegan have got to be kind of friends over the last like couple years as well, is because he's just like crazy in the YouTube game. Like, I got a message from him the other day. He's like, we just did this, and it's fucking crazy. And I was just like, all right, man, you're like way down there, but it's cool to
Really?
hear it,
Deegan
you know?
studies the game, does he? Hard.
Oh, bro, yeah, he's the G of all Gs.
Really?
No way.
That's interesting. But like you say, going all out, I remember when I started this thing, you know, the original version of it, and there was no one to even turn to. There was like, I was literally just figuring it out and like using the wrong stuff, the wrong platforms. Like, editing wrong, doing the whole
Dude,
thing.
you were changing shit like crazy at the start.
Yeah,
You were
I was
just,
like,
you were fucking all over the shop. I remember talking to you about so many different like platforms and stuff, but it's hard. Like I'd be the same, I guess, but in a different way. Like it's always, I've just been trying to like build out the studio space. You know, there's just been like 1,000 iterations of it until
For sure.
I actually feel like we've only kind of just got our flow going recently. And yeah, it was sort of the same for you. You were just like changing all these different things, and dude, respect when you don't come from like a film background. Like all this shit
like
is
zero.
my job, you know.
Yeah. I guess in that respect, you did have a wee head start because you did know like the production side of it was dialed from the start with your stuff. Like you can go back now, I guess, and watch the earliest iterations of Gypsy Tales, and they still look dialed. They still like filmed to perfection. The audio is perfect, and I honestly had like not a clue what I was doing. I was like not a clue. If I'm like if I use headphones, that'll work, I think. So I'm using headphones and like trying to figure this whole thing out, and then now the game's changing even more because now it's becoming more of a visual platform, and it's like trying to figure this stuff out again. And obviously the issue Ollie and I have with this is that we live so far apart,
and we're stupid,
and we're idiots. Like
I think that's
yeah, and we're stupid, so it doesn't help, right?
Wait, but look what I can do, and I'm stupid as fuck.
Fair point. But yeah, we're working on a few things. We want to. The dream is to get a studio, somewhere, but obviously there's 4 hours driving in between us, so somehow we need to figure out.
Is there a place that you guys can go? Like, can you two move to a place and start a thing? Because like, dude, we started a thing here. Like, it's fucking crazy. And it wasn't just us. I mean, it was like a group of us moved, not really intentionally together, but Burleigh has turned into like this crazy action sports like hotbed.
Wow.
There's a lot of like media that's here. Where a few of us kind of like picked this place as being like, we kind of saw the potential in it, and we also just like wanted to live here. And now fast forward, I think I've been here 3 and a bit years now, and in the 3 and a bit years, it's changed so much. Like the whole, even just like the moto community and stuff through COVID. So I think you boys need to like meet in the middle and like go up or down, east or west a little bit, and figure out like a fucking rad mountain bike town where you guys can just like start a thing, because you've already got a thing going, like get the studio, you guys could definitely fucking do something sick. The UK,
it's annoying because I feel like we're both quite similar in that we tend to stay in a radius around our houses. So it's like I don't know, driving up your way is like a long way for me to go in my shit old car,
Yeah, dude. For sure.
Is there a town, like, is there a popping off town in mountain bikes that, like, is there like a place that has like crazy potential, or is there that place already?
I think for me, like, Wales is that thing. It seems like I don't really know Wales that much. I was
going to say North Wales,
yeah. I'd say North Wales is like where it's popping off. That's where you've got like, I guess, Chaos Cade. You've got various bike parks up there. Bike Park Wales isn't too far away. I know it's a bike park, but I'd say that's probably the spot that's kicking off the most. But yeah, moving everything to Wales is like, I don't know. And how far away is Burleigh from where you grew up? Like, how far is it to go visit family and stuff? Are we talking
to drive 24 hours?
Oh, is it? Okay. Fuck, I thought you were gonna say like 20 minutes. Hey?
Nah.
What's a long drive for you? Like, on a serious question, if someone says, "Oh, do you want to go do this here?" What is the limit?
I can give you an answer.
Yeah.
6 hours, I'm down with. 6, 7, you can twist my arm for 8. But like, if someone says like, mate, I'll drive for days. Like, that's one thing that me and my brother, I think that's probably because we grew up so far away. Like, we grew up way up north on like the pointy bit, and there's no east. That's just the ocean, and then west doesn't, like, just goes into the desert. So you've just got this long ass stretcher down, and for us to go anywhere remotely cool was to drive to here. So we were so isolated, man. And we used to race. Like, my dad would get in the fucking car on a Friday afternoon at like 3 o'clock. He'd come home from work early. He'd drive all through the night so we could race on Sunday, like 24 hours drive away. We'd race, and then he'd drive all the way home and then be late for work Monday night. So that was like a 44-hour round trip. And we used to do that like every 2 weeks. So yeah, to us, it's just it's a different deal. So like, we regularly we'll drive 3 hours one way and 3 hours the other to just ride for a day. Like, we'll get up, I pretty much just get up at 5 a.m. every day just for doing shit. Like, I rode this morning, and it was a 5:30 wake up and at the track by 8 kind of thing. Because it's just an hour to ride any track. And
Is it?
It's fucking dog shit too. It's barely worth it.
Yeah, I think me and you just go out of our doors, don't we? Like, and it's a tough one. It's a real tough one to.
It's a hard one to start.
It is. It's fucking good. You literally go out your door and you're there.
Yeah. Like, I had a conversation with a friend yesterday. We were out riding, and he goes, "Oh, I'm gonna go ride Win Hill tomorrow." And I was like, nah, man, I just can't be bothered with the drive. And honestly, it's 20 minutes. It's like 25 minutes. And I was like, I just can't be bothered, dude. I can just ride out of my door. And it's not the best, but it's okay. But I think as well with me, I did so much driving coming up.
Yeah.
And like with my job and having the business in Poland, I just did so much driving that I just...
you were a rep too.
Yeah,
right?
dude, that rep life
is... lived in the car. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a grind, and you just become like sick of it. And then, because you do that Monday to Friday... You get to the weekend and someone's like, "Oh, you want to go ride here? It's an hour away." And you're like, "Nah, I've been in the car all week, man. I just want to like stop and just be based here." And then the pandemic thing's made it worse because you become quite lazy and like, "Oh, it's all right. I'll just stay here at home." And yeah, anything going not outdoors, but like away from home now is like a real. It's a grind. You know?
I feel like I'm spoiled as well because the international airport's like an hour away. You know, and like so.
Sick.
Yeah, like how for some people they get back, land, and then they got the 3-hour drive, and I just think I can't even imagine being hyped enough to go away. I would be too. I'm too small town, I guess. I couldn't do it, dude.
Well, we're lucky here. Like, I set my day-to-day life up. This is pretty much like the last few years for me has been like figuring out a routine. Getting it as fucking dialed as possible. Like, just every little bit of time that you can save in certain things is like, that's pretty much where I'm at. So it's like, it's probably 3 kilometers from here. So it's literally, that's why I was just like, fuck, I'll just go into work. Like, why would I sit at home? So it's like 3 Ks here. And then to go from my house to the gym, peak hour, like 5 p.m. when I finish work, it takes me like 20 minutes. And if I ride the Ducati, then I'm there in like 7 minutes. So it's like, unless I'm in that, like through the week, I'm in that bubble and I ain't fucking leaving. You are not getting me out of that circle in that whole like Monday to Friday. Unless the only exception is to like go ride or do a trip or whatever. And then I'm finding too lately, I need 1 full day at home where I don't talk to a single fucking person. Like, even physically talk, like, texting and shit's fine, but just, like, don't want to talk to anyone and I want to stay in my door all day. It's like I've like a mini doomsday prep for Sunday. It's like, go to the grocery store, make sure I got everything. All right, I'm not fucking leaving. Dog's got food, we're good. But, yeah, like, as far as trips go, me and my brother, we're not scared to drive home. We're not scared to, like, fly to Tassie, go to Derby for a few days. Like, I love doing trips and I'll fucking always down. Like a 6-hour thing for me, I'm like, yeah, I'm there, I'll go do that. I can, that's 2 podcasts each way, I'm fucking dialed.
Yeah, it's true. It's a good way of thinking of it. Yeah,
I used to do the same thing. A Rogan podcast for 3 hours.
Yeah, it's like
everything's in Rogan podcast. Yeah.
And I don't get to listen to stuff these days. So to me, to actually, like, that's why I'm kind of down with longer drives, because I just don't get a chance to consume any like audio kind of content or anything like that. So I actually kind of really enjoy that side of it now too.
Yeah.
I'm with you. With your setup being dialed, a lot of that comes with it being visual, right? Is that stupid to say? Surely, like, I guess podcasts becoming more visual is more recent, so you have to pay attention to that aspect of it, whereas you could get away with quite literally a mic before, right?
Sorry, man. It's just always been like I bought a new camera like that. I'm filming this on a new camera that I just got the other day because to me, like, some people buy cars and some people or buy nice shit or whatever. I actually just really enjoy having nice cameras, and I like just doing cool shit. Like, I don't know, because it's my trade, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like, if anything, I'm probably like 5% podcaster, fucking 90% editor, and then 5% whatever else, you know? So it's just like the production thing. Like, when I started, I think it's just because, like, for years, since probably 2007 when I first got the camera, I've always been editing something, whether it's, you know, like client work or, you know, whatever. I've always been doing it, and I just, it honestly feels like a habit that I do. And then the podcast is like, I kind of just always wanted it to be visual just because that was my trade sort of thing. And then it just gave me that same thing, that same like editing thing every day. I get up, I fucking edit content, figure out where to post it, whether it's for me, whether it's for a brand I'm working with, like whatever it kind of is. There's so many projects that I've like started filming and haven't finished editing, and we're releasing all these old videos that we've never actually made. So I've just always been, I don't know, that's kind of like my job, you know. It's like a habit in itself. It's just like making content, and then the podcast became like the perfect little like plug-in for that in a way.
Yeah, it's so interesting, man, that you brought that visual element to what we do, or what this is, you know, because it was so far ahead of the game, man. And I know you've been told that a million times, especially by me, but it was like when I first started seeing that, I was like, fuck, like there's a whole other level to this game, and you are already 10,000 steps ahead of it, you know. So it's interesting that you've got that background, and also obviously really valuable to what you do, because it's meant that it looks so much more professional. I guess even when you probably weren't getting the download numbers that you are now, it looked like a Rogan production. So I guess people already are like, well, this is legit. Like, it's so legit. Whereas I've, you know, honestly, like, bumbled through for 6 years, like, kind of trying bits, doing this. A few things have been, you know, filmed on GoPros and whatnot, but I'm just, personally trying to get that element into this thing now and trying to, like, step the game up a little bit. But it doesn't come easy, man. There's so much equipment, so much knowledge, and all that sort of stuff is something all that shit you've built up over years and years and years and years and years of the grind and doing it. So to just introduce it is extremely difficult.
Oh yeah. Also, right, if you consume podcasts through audio, which is how I do, I find it very difficult almost to think about the visual. I don't find it difficult, but, you know, I can't almost get hyped to watch a podcast. I don't really do it at all, I'll be honest. I just listen to podcasts. I get that people have them on the background. I kind of almost don't know how stuff's consumed anymore. I think as you get older, you get a little bit like, I just don't know anymore. I don't know what is going on almost. I like desperately clamber around.
I think for me, like, you're right. So I don't think that I'm I don't think I'm like a person that's chasing like the different new platforms and content. We're fucking blowing up on TikTok. That's like, I've told Davey he has to do that. That's just like a fucking no-brainer at the moment. But for me, like, I haven't done one dance though.
It's coming, dude.
But yeah, it's where was that? Oh yeah, I was just a big believer in YouTube. Like, I think it just comes back to the content thing. Like, I've always just been really obsessed with making content. And it's probably got a lot to do with my uncle Glenn. Like, I had Glenn on the podcast, Glenn Jacobs from World Trail. And he actually just did the podcast again Friday. It was one of my favorite ones we've ever done.
Oh, wow.
But sick. So, like, I grew up with him as, like, my influence of he was the only dude that wasn't like a tradie that was just doing the same shit as everyone else. Like he was just, to me, he was like this crazy visionary. And like I grew up in a real fucking small town, and he was just like this visionary dude, and he was always like building shit and doing shit, and it would just look like so much fun. Like he created a vibe. He brought like so many people together, and then it was in bikes, and I was just fucking obsessed with bikes. I just loved everything about it. And I've read for probably 10 years, man. I had a Dirt magazine subscription. Like I literally was that deep in the game that I even had like the Euro and the US magazines and shit. So like I just love bikes, I love content, and I just love that whole sort of deal. And yeah, so I just think like I saw the YouTube thing happening. Like I in 2007 and 2006, 2007, I was already like telling people YouTube was going to be massive, and I was pushing for where everything went just because I could kind of see, I could see the vision in a way, you know. And I think like maybe I was obsessed with it in a way too because I was like so disconnected from the rest of the world in Cairns. Like we were so, all the dope shit that I loved was so far away. So I just think that, yeah, there was a few factors of like how I grew up that just made me like really fucking love like content and like sharing cool shit. And yeah, so when it comes to doing the podcast, like I just like telling stories, and I think that the short clips is like what actually ended up doing really well on YouTube. It's cool, you know, like I think about, like I definitely don't just post random videos on there. It's like you'll see there's like storylines that are followed if you're on that clips channel and you're like a daily watcher of that clips channel. Like I'm like listening to the community. I know what people are liking. I know the debates that are going on. I'm kind of like, I feel like I'm giving people, like I'm creating, or like, I don't know, like telling a story in a sense of like this whole industry and this whole like universe thing that we've got going on. And if you like this guest, I tied in with this guest and connect these people. And there's like Aaron Plessinger come on the podcast, and then a guy that listens to the podcast who's like a big NASCAR dude loved him. So then I connected those two guys, and then he'll come on the podcast. And, you know, so it's like a big play in a way that's like playing out. And that's like the thing that I love doing is like sitting back, having these conversations, putting these people together, and like it's almost like trying to tell like a really big story about like how great our fucking scene is, you know, and like how great action sports are, how great these athletes are, the people. And then you know, like there's an art as well, I think, in like taking a massive podcast that's 3 hours and then condensing it down and then condensing it down and then condensing it down, and then there's a TikTok that's got 8 million fucking views, because it's like that's how refined the story is in a way. So yeah, that's sort of like how I think about it, and I think that's that's what I get like fully like lost in, and that's what makes it just me always feel like we've got so much shit to do, and yeah, like invest so much kind of time into it, I guess, because it's not just like bang 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 formula, like chuck it out.
Yeah, it must have been difficult as well bringing people in to help with your vision, because obviously you do struggle if they maybe don't share the same vision or they're just on a different page. Like what's that journey been like of like leveling up to that point where you have a team basically of people?
That's probably the hardest thing, I reckon. I will say, like, I give the boys a fair bit of shit, but like, so Ronan, he basically was like, him and his best mate Griff were just making like dirt bike edits around. I shouldn't say just making, they make sick dirt bike edits, and they were kind of around, and then the editing was literally just killing me, dude. Like, I was no shit at one point between like doing the podcast, switching for years. I just had to sit and switch the cameras back and forward, back and forward, back and forward, back like 3-hour podcast, and you got to sit and do it again, and then you got to make notes, you got to cut, you know, then you got to do your Instagram, then you got to do fucking blah blah thumbnails, it's just a whole thing. And I was getting like crazy burnt out. So I was just fucking DMing people that were filming moto and being like, hey man, if you like to edit, I talk to cool moto people and I'll fucking pay you to sit here and edit with me. It's like super boring, but Like, it's pretty cool. And then, so it turns out he was just a kid that was in year 12, so last year of school. And then he started working for me after school, and I pretty much just said to him, like, hey, I don't know what you want to do, but if you want to work like a full-time job, like, you don't have to look for a job after school, and you don't have to go to uni. Like, I'll pay you to be here every week. And then it was fucking sick. Like, it sort of took a massive load off my shoulders in a way, but created another load again, because you're trying to like teach someone. And it's honestly been like a crazy fucking learning experience. But yeah, he's almost been here 2 years now. So he's like 2 years out of school. He can pull this whole studio apart. He's like, he makes processes. Like, I'm really big on processes. Like, this is what we do. This is blah, 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 blah. And then we put it out and it's finished. But we don't put it out until it's done like this. And it's got to be filmed in this way. And this is how this is how the file names get solved. Like, the meta of it is actually ridiculous. And, so anyway, like, fast forward 2 years, and I trust him a lot. Like, he's coming to Europe with me in a couple of weeks, and yeah, like, I pretty much trust him to like make clips and put clips on the internet without me even checking them, you know. So that's it's fairly kind of recent that we got to that level, and then basically like that whole process, but a year later with Griff. So his best mate Griff was a year younger than him, so he had a year left of school. And he started working after school, and then this is his first year here now. So, but then we've also got like a graphic designer that I'm got on a retainer at the moment, and then like a motion graphic guy that I'm trying to work with for some like new shit we haven't. I think I sent you the video, but
the 125,
the 125 thing, yeah. So, but yeah, it was like a massive learning experience, man. Because like I'm a real big believer in there's no bad workers, there's only bad bosses. And as soon as I see these little fucks not being good workers, I'm like, dude, you're a piece of shit. Like, you gotta figure it out. Like, this is on you, bro. So that's been kind of like hard to figure out like where I'm at, where I'm going wrong, how I should change shit, like, and then what's acceptable standards, and then where am I just being Steve Jobs over a fucking podcast that talks about nothing.
It's so hard though, isn't it? Because it's like tonal almost. So you're like trying to get your tone into someone else's ears. That is really difficult, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
And I'm not a very like emotional person, so I'm very like, everything with me is very pragmatic. And then, so I just say things like very monotone, very direct, like the least amount of words possible. And I think that, you know, for a couple of like younger dudes, it's their first job. And so there's like, for me, I'm like, I can work like a robot. I can sit here for 8 hours and just fucking do it and be locked in, and then I go home. But you can't expect people to, you know, that's me making videos for fucking 15 years, you know. So you just can't expect people to be like that straight away. So it's a really fucking hard balance to find. But I think with the stuff that we're going to be putting out, I think people will see like, oh man, they're stepping it up again. It's like it's really turning into like a cool media kind of brand. And yeah, I just want to, you know, thicken out that story. So it's like not just the podcast, there's all these other storylines, and I'm trying to get people to come over and do trips and all that sort of stuff, and like really tie it in. So it's just a cool big project, but the team is probably the most important thing.
Wow, super interesting, man. Seeing how you I remember, I mean, personally, I've done this as well. Those like switching cameras and all that editing and dialing things down for Instagram and stuff. I've done, you know, a fair amount of that myself. But I think some of the hardest times with doing this back then were like, there was no sponsors involved. It sometimes felt like no one gave a shit. Like, you could spend 10 minutes on an episode editing. Like, I'd literally just get the 2 audio files, set them at the right levels, put it out, and it'd do quite well. Or you spend 8 hours like editing everything, taking out coughs, blah, blah, going through it. You put it out and you just like, it was almost the same. Okay, right. But then like to keep going and doing that shit that's fucking a testament, I think, to anyone who can do that. Because you'll do the same, Jase. Like, you were doing so much, but financially, let's be brutally honest, making a podcast work is quite difficult because especially back then, like let's go back 4 or 5 years, it was still a new thing and brands didn't quite get what it was and how it could help. But some of the stuff we've done with this dude, like we've had brands say it's, you know, the most engagement they've ever had through an advert and like this and that. And it does work. It's just like, how do you prove that method? It's just a case of just keep doing it, keep testing, trialing things, pitching it and stuff. So yeah, I feel you, man. That those early years are, like I say, it was nice because I feel like we did kind of go through some of that together in a way. Because I'd hit you up like, dude, like fuck, this is a grind. I'm working like 4 days a week and barely paying the bills. It was tough. It
was. It's, I think, like one of those. It was almost like a build it and they'll come mentality for me. Like, and I think that I just had an idea of what was like a real good version of the product. And before when you said something that made me think about like the comment that I used to get that was almost worth like money in my bank account was, why doesn't this channel have more subs? That to me was like the comment where I was like, that was me getting paid essentially, because that was somebody being like, fuck, this dude's actually doing like the gnarliest shit and nobody's watching it. And I think that to me, like when I was always lucky on the audio side, because the audio side just really worked. Like I could have just put out the audio version of the podcast and then just done Instagram, not done YouTube, and focused on iTunes ads, and I probably would have made a lot more money, and my life would have been a lot easier, and I probably wouldn't have to like do the stuff and stuff. But yeah, like I'm just a YouTube person, I guess. Like I enjoy that medium, and I've seen the kind of impact that can have on people's lives when they do it properly. Like for the consumer and for the creator of the content. And then in my head, like this is why I always encourage you to do YouTube, is like essentially, and this is fucking free game for anybody that is listening, thinking about content. YouTube is your business partner. They're a fucking sick company with a lot of people that know about them. They're a really good person to be in business with. Like being in business with yourself as a fucking iTunes, like, and selling your own ads based off your own numbers, like your potentiality is like a fucking Fugazi kind of number, you know? Like you can be like anyone that's in Moto that is looking at my channel, you can look at my numbers and that's what you can do right now in that space. Like whoever's the biggest doing the most numbers in any given space, like you can look at that person and go, that's my fucking audience. Like that's that's how many
audience potential.
That's my ceiling. That's a fucking number that I can work towards. I don't give a fuck about my iTunes numbers, which is like, I mean, that's probably what most people do, but to me it's like it's just such a fucking random, like the analytics shit, you know? It's like you just don't have any idea of like where you're at, and I think with YouTube, it's such like a solid business decision, I guess, to like be involved with them, because like they take half my money, so every month we get paid, and YouTube takes half my money, but as in like contract with them, they show me to literally whoever wants to watch me. Like whoever's watching me right now, that's like the people that YouTube shows my content and they actually think I'm good. The people that don't watch me, either they're not interested in my content at all, or they've watched me and I'm a fucking retard. So that's like the long and the short of it, you know? So then you can look at like anybody, and then there's like interlapping spaces there. So it's like MTB, podcast. And then it's like the MTB pie is this big, but then the podcast thing is this big. So then it's like Moto, MTB, like surfing, whatever that you're in, and then podcast. So it's like you can be the fucking biggest podcast and then you've got X market share. Or you can be like the biggest Moto. So to me, it was always just like a super fucking solid metric and almost like a no-brainer to, like, for me, yeah, like I wanted, early on, I did not give a fuck about the views. All I wanted was to do a really good job and build a sick product because I had a marketing team. Like I had YouTube that was like pushing out my content. Or I didn't really even have to focus on the marketing as much. It was more just like build a fucking dope product. And if that meant making 1 million thumbnails and spending 12 hours in the studio and just like all of that bullshit, switching cameras back and forth, spending all my money on cameras, spending all my money on lights, fucking rent in a building and just all that kind of shit. Like that to me was, like, I guess that's just what made sense to me.
Yeah. Would you say that it's starting to pay off? Like, is there a point where you've said, okay, like all that work is now, like, I'm now in the positive? Does that make sense?
Yeah. I reckon probably, like, we've been making money at it for a bit, but it's been real hard to be like consistent and to figure out how to like consistently deliver. So I think for our YouTube for the last few months, it's been like, it's been over 1 million views every single month, for like 4 months now. And then every month's got like bigger and bigger. And I think we're at like 2 million views this month. So to have like, that to me is like the first, which might sound crazy because it's like 5 years in, but literally like the last 4 months is like, I've actually been able to stack like consecutive, and it's almost like being a fucking racer, dude, you know, like you've got this World Cup that it just goes for 12 months and it's just like every weekend, like 1 million views is like like 1 million views a month is like, you're on like the fucking podium. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like you're a top 10, like you're threatening for the podium, and you feel like you're going to get a factory ride for the next year. That's kind of where I'm at.
It's so interesting, man, 'cause it's like there aren't actually any mistakes, I feel like, on that podium. Like like on the podium, people study the algorithm. You know, like you spend time looking at what actually does well. Like you can get so far by kind of just like hacking your way through and making mistakes, and sometimes they work out. But I feel like actually to consistently, like you say, get numbers, there is no, it's like anything, isn't it, in life, I guess?
Yeah,
it's no mistakes. It's crazy I think probably the thing that blows my mind is the fact of just like, and I mean, well, it's like almost you guys in a way, like Ollie, you've kind of got like a personal following or whatever, but just to come from fucking nowhere. Like, there's people that could jump my views and downloads and everything like tomorrow. Like there'd be literally thousands of people all over the world that if they've started a podcast tomorrow, their podcast would get more views than mine. So like in that sense, there kind of are people that can luck into it, but they've already have to be successful at something else in like a pretty massive way. Like they're a pretty heavy outlier. But for all of us, like we're just kind of normal, regular people that are super passionate and have worked from zero. So yeah, I think like it is crazy when you, I guess like reach that kind of level, when you do come from literally nowhere. Like fuck, I had probably my personal like Instagram account had probably like 2,000 fucking followers when I started just as a metric. So
yeah, you were that like underground guy, really. You were that filmer. I mean, no one really used to see who's behind the camera, right? You're fully hidden. But
yeah,
the crazy thing is, dude, like that all those years of being behind the camera and the connections you've made. I mean, you can see it. It's quite obvious to see that you are actual friends with people that are coming on the podcast. You know, you actually know these people, and I think that for me, early days was one of the benefits too. You know, I was a rep on the road, but I'd spent time in the States and done this and that. So that was a help. Like you were like, oh, will you do this podcast? And people were a bit more open to it because they sort of knew you. But there was definitely as well that period reaching out to people, and they've just been like, no, like what? What is a mountain bike? What is a podcast? Like, why would I do that? That makes no sense to me. Whereas now we're at that point where people are way more open to coming on. Yeah, and dude, you'll be in the same thing. You know, people now in the motor community, they know Gypsy Tales, whether they've listened to, well, maybe they've watched a 5-minute clip or they've listened to thousands of hours of it. Like you are ingrained in that community now, which is really dope. And that doesn't come easy at all. That does not come easy because people don't like change either. I guess people are like, I only listen to Main Event Moto. I only listen to Pulp. Fuck this Gypsy Tales guy. I ain't doing it. But yeah, it does. You manage to win him over, I guess, in the long run. Or you don't. Fuck him.
Yeah, well, I think the crazy, that's the crazy luck in all of this, is that the jobs that I'm doing now, because ultimately that's what I see it as. Like, I just treat it like a job, but its success is like directly kind of tied to me, you know. But yeah, that's the luck. You know, if I got any kind of luck, I mean, I guess it's luck that's created through, you know, stuff that I was kind of doing before. But yeah, it's lucky. It's lucky I got the opportunity to go to America. It's lucky that people enjoyed hanging out with me when they did. So it was just a lot of luck, and that's honestly never been lost on me either too. Like, I definitely always feel lucky to have kind of like made those connections, and honestly too, like, I used to just not tell people it was 3 hours. Like,
really,
so many fucking people come on and were like, "How long does this go for?" I'm like, "Oh, it's 3 hours," and I just always was just like dead ass fucking like, it wasn't a big deal to me, and I know so many people where they were caught off guard by it, but because I just did it, I delivered it so fucking flat. They were just like, "Oh, okay, I'll text my wife." Like, dude, Seth Enslow was like that.
I was going to say Seth Enslow.
Yeah, his wife sat in the car, like, fucking with the aircon on. It was like summer, and I'm like, well, we have a nice studio, like, she could have come here. But yeah, honestly, I used to just not tell people as well. So I
love the idea that Seth Enslow, the original Crusty Demon, is just balling in there thinking he's doing a 5-minute clip with you, and you're like, yeah, it's 3 hours, dude.
It takes 3 hours to make that 5-minute clip.
and then the thing is that, like, that's like extra pressure on me to make it fun and make it like so to me it almost like backs me in a corner, and that's why I always liked doing 3 hours as well. Like, it's a dead copy from Rogan. Like, it was the only podcast that I ever listened to. So I only thought podcasts went for 3 hours.
Same. I always
the whole deal was.
I always thought, like, why is it 3 hours? It doesn't. I thought, does iTunes not go over 3 hours? Is there a thing in the algorithm? Like, what is it? But there's nothing, right? You could literally rip for 8 hours if you wanted to.
Yeah. So I used to be like, fuck, this is like real hard to go for 3 hours, eh? And like, you'll see I actually looked at it recently. The earlier shows, they're all a lot shorter. Like, it actually took me a while to just consistently be hitting 3 hours, which, I always just thought I did 3 hours. Actually, it was kind of funny to find that out. But yeah, now 3 hours is just like, it's so easy to do, but it's hundreds of reps to get it dialed like that.
Yeah. Did you get Seth to 3 hours, or were you asking him questions like, what's your favourite animal and stuff?
Nah, I think we got to 2 and a bit hours, maybe. Yeah. I think.
And then you were like, what's your favourite colour?
Nah, then he was like, well, we started talking about politics, so I knew we were on the wrong. And because that's like, I don't really ever talk about that. Yeah. And then he's like, how much longer is this? And I was like, well, we normally go for 3 hours. And he was like, man, I don't think I can do that. Hey, my wife's in the car. I was like, what? Your wife's in the car? And then he's like, yeah. And I had Bubba in here as well. He sat in for the whole thing, and I fucking wish that. I'd really want to do one with him. He was awesome, actually. He was like interjecting a little bit, but there was no mic over there.
Oh, this is Bubba as in the old school Crusty Demons Bubba?
Yeah, Crusty Bubba, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, wow, okay.
Yeah, wow. Dude. So, the greatest thing of all time was the first time watching that buggy thing, where he sent that buggy, but it was like a fat suit dummy, and it just fucking garbled, dude. I remember watching that as a kid, and just my mind was blown. I was like, who the fuck would do that to a buggy?
What? Who was Bubba? What was his deal? He was always kind of with that Crusty crew.
I honestly can't remember.
I don't know.
Big dude, wasn't he? Yeah.
That's why I was wondering, like, if you got him on the podcast, what do you talk about?
Oh, dude, it'd be crazy interesting to talk to him, I think.
Yeah.
I just think he was like one of the boys that was around him, and then he was kind of just like a cool personality, and then I think he kind of got involved with the filming and maybe the business side of it. But yeah, he's still like every Krusty tour, like he's a part of the deal, yeah.
Wow, interesting.
So you're getting Glenn Jacobs on soon?
We did it Friday.
Oh, you did it Friday. Oh, I was going to ask you. Yeah, I loved Mud Cows.
Oh,
like Davey, did you watch Mud Cows?
I know of it, but it's kind of like I just don't remember that stuff, dude. I just don't have the brain for it. So I know I can even picture the front cover.
Leave the next 20 minutes to us.
Yeah, you guys crack on.
I used to special order music from Mud Cows. I loved Mud Cows.
What was your favourite song, you reckon?
Oh, I can't remember now. I got bad brain for that, but I had like a number of albums because I used to go to I'd wait to the end of the video VHS, pause, write it down, go to the record shop. They'd fucking have to find some bloody Aussie record label. You know what I mean? It was like not that easy. They'd have to special order it in like 3 months later. The album would turn up, and just think how instant everything is now, and how TikTok it is and everything, and like yeah.
So tell me, I want to know more. What is Mud Cows? Like, what have I missed out on? Is it a single VHS or is it a series? Like, what is it?
Series, dude, yeah.
It was a series, I'm an idiot, bro. It was a series. It was Downhill was happening before like most of the world knew that Downhill was happening, and it was happening in Cairns, and it was Glenn. Dude, the story's fucking crazy, actually. He tells it on the podcast, and he actually tells it a little bit too humbly, if you ask me. Like, I was only a kid. But basically, like, for anyone that wants to watch it, we'll probably put it as a clip on YouTube. But he basically, that in like 95 or 94, they went to the Australian Downhill Mountain Bike Championships. And it was at like Canberra, like, or Thredbo or something like that. And it was basically just tape and a skinny bit of fire road, and then occasionally it like went off the fire road and then into a thing and a couple of logs and then back on the fire road, and then that was the finish line. So Glenn and all of his boys from Cairns, they loaded up into this van and they drove down to do the Australian Championships, and they got there, and so they were just rough as fucking guts. Like all of these boys, and they were
22-hour drive.
Like, this would have been probably like a 35-hour drive.
Get fucked for real. Yeah. I was joking. 22
each way, 35 hours each way. And so they're all just like normal clothes, the whole deal. They get down there, and it's fucking skin suits and lycra and like tiny little bikes, and like. They were like cutting off their fucking seat poles and stuff because like the jungle at home was so steep that they were like cutting their seat poles off and everything. Like there was no sitting down for them. And so they get there and there's like long seat poles and lycra, and then they're like, "Where's the fucking downhill race?" And they're like, "No, that's the downhill track." So they raced that, and then they went home, and they were like, "We are never fucking leaving. We're never leaving our town again, because that if that's mountain biking, then we're not mountain biking." So then they drove 36 hours back, and they were all just fucking stewing on like kind of like what they were wrong about what mountain bikes were. And then so yeah, they just went back up and they just kept fucking digging, like, because we just got the craziest jungle. I mean, you guys have seen the Cairns Worlds, obviously, but that's one of probably like 25 epic fucking downhill tracks that has been like scratched into the jungle up there. And there's some that are just like crazy, rooty, steep, fucking gnarly. There's like poisonous vines that fucking rip you off your bike. Like it's pretty epic, you know? So anyway, Glenn at the time, he's a sign writer by trade, but he was just a tech guy as well. That's maybe why I'm so obsessed with cameras. But he always had like the latest cameras. And dude, he made like a fucking helmet cam in like 95 and was taping like, I think the first movie was called Crazy Ice Cream Heads from Outer Space. And because basically they were wearing like ice cream buckets on their heads as helmets with foam in it because of the padding and like they needed a flat surface for the camera because it was a camcorder.
Wow.
So like anyway, so he just made all of these movies. So it was a mix of Jackass, Krusty Demons, and like Clay Porter, like with some, race footage from back in the day. Dude, they probably made like the first fucking helmet cam, the first cable cam. Like, if you go back and watch those movies now, bro, like,
when you think about it,
crazy.
Wow.
And all of those, like, this is me just being full hyped on fucking Glenn right now. That, like, he always this 92. I want to make this. Imagine if we made like this tiny little camera that could go on your head and you could put it here. So he was like on that wave, and then he'd make these cable cams, and like all of his mates that were just like regular dudes that rode moto and mountain bikes and stuff, they were like fabricators, and so one of them had like fabricate a cable cam for him, and then they'd all go ride. But for years he ended up just filming all in the jungle around our hometown with like the craziest motherfuckers ever. And at that time too, so like he was the influence of guys like Michael Ronning, Chris Kavarik, Sean McCarroll, Mick Hanna. Like there was so many guys that come from our hometown, and like guys you've never heard of either. Like there was a guy, Cam Palmer, and he was literally like our Sean Palmer. He raced moto. He was a fucking like legend. He was a savage, and he just had like crazy talent. And so yeah, he just had all these guys around him, and they just made these crazy fucking movies. And it was like, part Jackass, part fucking Nitro Circus, and then part fucking 3-minute gaps of just all kind of fucked into one. And then, like Ollie said, the soundtrack, insane.
Really?
Yeah. And they'd like open wounds to the beat, dude. Yeah. That's what I took. That was like my biggest takeaway. And we like, honestly, as children, obviously you like nail your shins so often as a mountain biker, as a squid. We used to do the same thing, like, we didn't have any cameras, but we were like, fucking pulling cuts apart, showing each other, covered in blood.
And how about the original fucking World Cup stuff? So like after the '96 Worlds in Cairns, so like I don't know how it happened. Like I think they wanted to do. He says it on the podcast as well, but basically like the Worlds ended up wanting to come to Cairns. So Glenn does the Worlds track, and then after that, the UCI hire Glenn to like be the UCI head track builder for like the next 8 years or something. He lived in Switzerland, and so like in between all of this, Glenn's at World Cups, fucking building the tracks, and then filming all of the carry. Like you see, like Steve Pete fucking hammered, Cedric Gracia fucking hammered, like. There's like chicks everywhere. It's as like 90s as it gets. And it's just like, it should be the biggest thing in fucking mountain biking. But, you'll see guys like, I actually missed the last time the Worlds was home, but like Rat Boy come up to Glenn and was just like, I am a fucking mud cow, bro. Like,
dude.
And then, so there's like some cool motherfuckers that like, they got the mud cow thing, but dude, Ollie, imagine if the internet was a thing back then when Glenn was doing that.
Honestly, that's what I was just thinking then. I was thinking how we consumed like our sport then. You wait for months, maybe half a year to get that World Cup coverage. Yeah. And now it's like there in an instant. I actually just had a thought internally then. I was thinking back then, you could have had like propaganda campaigns. If you're a bike brand, like the same in moto, you could have just been like, you could have just completely faked shit. You could have just like got your rider on the podium, and you could have released it, and you could have though, dude. Like it's absurd to think that people didn't almost like because for sure it was going on in the world in every other, other opportunity.
You got to look at all those movies like Catch Me If You Can, where just like. Those old, like, forward copycat, like, dude, imagine if you knew what you knew now and you could go back in time and just run a fucking muck. Like, oh, so this is how credit cards work? Sweet.
But do you remember at school? Do you remember at school there'd be people that would say shit like, it's a known fact? They would say it, and like now you literally can't get away with it. Like, you're like, oh, it's a known fact. Let me just check that out for you real quick. Let me just check that out for you. Like, it's a known fact, people. They just don't exist anymore because it's Googleable.
Well, I think it's just shut down so much of conversation. Like, so many people just don't fuck it. But there's also like a weirder thing. I think that's why people talk about fucking bullshit that can't be proven. Yeah. Like, this is to go a little bit like political and whatever, but everyone concerns themselves now in these areas where they like almost can't be wrong. Like a feminist.
100%. You stay sucker. Yeah.
Or like any of the ifs. If you're an if, you're just a person that takes whatever the fucking line was last week and just takes it a little bit further and a little bit further.
Do you know what you like? You like the grey area. You like the grey area.
Yeah. So people either don't talk about facts anymore because it's so easy to fucking figure them out, or they talk about shit that has absolutely no connection to fact at all.
Yeah. Fact is so boring now because it's literally just type it in. You don't even have to type it. You can put it in a Siri. You can look up what the agreed scientific, like, it is boring.
It probably won't be that long until like your phone is always listening to you, and whenever you say something, your phone will go.
Yeah, it'll go
incorrect. Rewind.
I call true. Bullshit.
Yeah.
You've literally got a bullshit.
Like like the phones in the jar thing. That probably sounds like some sort of swingers thing, but I just mean like putting a phone in the jar means you can have actual conversation. You know, you can actually just discuss what you actually think. Like, you put your phone in the jar, you don't Google it, you just actually, but maybe fact check afterwards. I do like facts. I do like fact checking afterwards, but like, it's funny, man. We get called out on facts. If we get something wrong, we get called out. I'm sure you're the same. Like,
I actually don't. Maybe that's like a thing that people should probably do though.
It's because we don't know anything. Like, we don't know much, so like you just say something and people are like, "No, wait, DM, there you go, that's the real thing." Like, okay, but like you said,
honestly though, like I think that's why the podcast thing has taken off so massively, is because I'm not on my phone right now. I've got literally nothing else to do than sit here and concentrate on what you two are saying, and it's like, and it's weird that you watch podcasts as almost like fucking an attraction at the zoo, or it's like entertainment. Like, how is just people talking entertaining? Like, that's how fucking skew-if this whole thing's got with like texting and flicking and scrolling and swiping.
Dude,
and fucking, you know, so it's like, we're so fucking obsessed with this, and like, bro, I'm the worst. Like, I'm making shit for it. But it's like, we're so into this that it's like, people go, what do you want to do for the next 3 hours? I just want to I want to be super entertained by two people that are just talking. Like that, it's almost, to me, shows like a return to home base in a sense, you know?
Ollie, I got a problem, dude. I'm out on the trails, it's getting dusty, and I keep washing out, man. I'm washing the front, I'm washing the back. It wasn't that long ago, I was out riding and I randomly ran into a tree. Yeah. What can I do to solve this problem, dude? Like I say, I'm on the bike, it's slipping and sliding all over. I need a solution.
I haven't got one solution. I've got two solutions, Davey. I've got two solutions and they've just landed. And let me tell you what they are. It's the Goodyear Newton MTF and the Goodyear Newton MTR. Let me start up front. The MTF, right? That stands. That's the F stands for front. All right.
Does it? Yeah. The F stands for front. Yeah.
The large block tread design is optimized for straight line control, cornering confidence, and effective braking. Progressive block layout limits dirt build-up, maintaining performance across a wide range of conditions. So you don't have to worry about the dust. You don't have to worry about the mud. Whatever's going on, you've got it, right?
No more changing tyres for the north-south divide.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Out back, let me tell you what's going on around there. The Newton MTR. Drive focus tread delivers speed and durability with tracking performance that inspires confidence, transitioning from straight line to cornering across, again, a wide range of conditions. We've got you covered. Whether it's the Newton MTF, the Newton MTR, we've got you covered.
These things sound like the dream, but how do I get these things on my bike? Like, what do I have to do? How do I find out more information, man? Tell me more. Where do I go?
Right, okay, I've got some more answers. I've got some more answers.
Keep looking in the sky. People keep telling me to look in the sky for something going around with a sign
blimp.
on it.
Don't worry about the blimp. Don't worry about the blimp. The blimp can't help. What can help is GoodyearBike.com. You can head there for more information. Alternatively, you can tune in next week to the Ride Companion, where we're going to have a tyre expert on who's going to cover a wide range of... I know I went into detail. We need way more. Way more
detail, man.
We've got it next week.
Figures.
All right?
Let's go. All right.
Also,
I'm going there right now, man. GoodyearBike.com.
GoodyearBike.com. The other thing you can do is simply go into your local bike store and ask for Goodyear in there.
And Instagram, @GoodyearBike.
Head over to the Instagram, Goodyear Bike. All of the above, dude, and enjoy the launch video. Thank you very much. Turn that into a plug. Catch you in a bit.
Thank you, Goodyear. Over and out.
You're so right, because actually, even us three sat at a pub table. I'm not gonna say I wouldn't have looked at my phone. And like the intense conversations you have, you leave them feeling like you know someone. I find I can go into it I can go into a podcast and then come out of it like I feel like I know someone. I feel like we're friends more so than almost in a real life situation sometimes. Or like obviously it's the same as a real life situation. Yeah,
it is. Well, man, I've got amazing friends because of the podcast. It's been one of the most it's been such a gift in that sense, and it's people that just like left field people, like people I wouldn't normally associate with, like Jack Freestone for instance. He's a surfer, and like, man, me and him, like, I literally hung up the phone and be like, love you, bro. Like, he's become over the last, we did the podcast in like 2019, but over the last 3 or 4 years, he's become legitimately like one of my best friends, and it just started by 3 hours, no phones. Like, we just sat and had a chat. He does jiu-jitsu, surfs. Like, I do jiu-jitsu. I like to surf. Like, he grew up in a similar kind of way. Now me and him are just like best friends. And, you'd like text and talk and whatever, like in these kind of really disconnected and short kind of ways. And then it's like really filled with distraction. So really, like, it's very surface level, the majority of our interactions. And even like eye contact. People just don't make eye contact in the same way these days. And it's one thing that I've learned over the last like 5 years is just like being directly across from somebody and just like watching people's like eye movements. So, sorry, this sounds fucking weird to any future guest, but it's just like you notice that there's these periods of time where you're just like so locked in, like your eyes aren't even fucking moving. Like you're just having this like gnarly deep conversation, and then you come out of it feeling like you fucking know the person. And there's like an intimate connection there. It's crazy.
How about this, right? So this is three people sitting down talking, and we all make content, and we all really living kind of in this world. If you had to say whether it was overridingly good or bad for the world, or maybe the question is too complex and too difficult, but phones, media, the internet has done a lot of good in the world. I can't help seeing a lot of bad at the same time. What would you have said is the balance between good and bad? Yeah, it's a silly question, really. But
for me,
no, not really.
For me, it's the Nokia 3310 was the perfect level. Yeah. It was like you could still call your friends, you could text them. It wasn't that nice to read the text. It wasn't as engaging. It wasn't as colourful. It didn't hook you in with all the other bullshit.
Yeah.
So you were enough connected that if you needed to reach someone, you could do it. Because I always think back to, imagine like you were talking about Glenn going and doing those races. Like how do you set off on a 35-hour drive with no phone, no Google Maps? You probably don't know where you're going. Like that's insane to me. So there's a fine balance, I think, with maybe I think it's just, for me, it's like the social media side of it is kind of it was started as a good thing, but it's obviously been manipulated and bended and taken advantage of a little bit, and people have got too strung up on checking things and not actually having real conversations. Because you'll do this, and I used to, I don't really use social media anymore, but you think, oh, so-and-so, my friends, oh, they've had a baby. I've seen it, I've liked it, so I don't even have to bother calling them or like going around and taking a gift or all that actual meaningful, nice shit. And I think that's one thing that social media and media in general has taken away. It's like all those little niceties that you used to do and connections you used to make, and just conversations that you'd have. So yeah, I've gone on a bit of a tangent there. Apologies, but yeah, overall for me, that was
I agree with you. I think it's like I always say it's like the internet or social media or whatever. Like it's all a tool, and a hammer's a tool, and you can build a house with a hammer, or you can hit some cunt in the head with a hammer. So it's like it's the same fucking tool. They can have two really fucking terribly different outcomes. So
100%, yeah.
It's almost like it's on you in a way to like read the user manual in a sense. And I feel like that term, read the user manual, should expand out to just every part of your life. Like you're a fucking person that's like a complex person navigating a complex world. Like you should have a really solid understanding of like what you are, who you are, how you work, what the world is, how different is the world from you. Like all of these like really seemingly weird but fundamental questions. Like I honestly feel like you should be spending most of your time figuring that out before you start to use this tool that could either build you a house or, and that's kind of just like society in general in a way, and like I spend, and it's my advice to all my friends as well. It's my advice to everybody is like, bro, figure your shit out in like every sense of the word, because I've like not figured my shit out for a really long time. And it's like, you can I've always been trying to figure my shit out. And then as you start to slowly figure more things out, you look back at your life and you figure out how fucking dumb you were. And so like now it's, I'm just literally obsessed with like reading the fucking user manual essentially.
No, there should be a user manual. If you think about what Instagram is like, it's like there's a finite number of hours in a day, right? So there should be a number within that number that you should spend looking at people with perfect lives. Because if you go over that number, if you go over the number of this like projected version of someone's life and it's perfect and it doesn't match yours, if you go over that number, it's not going to be good for you, dude. And then if you multiply that by 365 days, it's going to be fucking bad for you.
Yeah.
And like, all right, Instagram is one example. I'm not saying Instagram is even bad. I go on Instagram. I probably go on it too much. But imagine the opposite way around. Like, like instead of Instagram, it's like an app where you swipe through different road traffic accidents, maybe different animals at the side of roads with all their guts out. And you spend 3 hours a day going through that, and there's a fox with its brain coming out its eye socket. And you're just consuming this for 3 hours every day. You know what I mean? Like it wouldn't not have an effect on your life.
But I think the thing is with that, Ollie, is that like I think all of us sat here are probably quite privileged in the way that when we go on our social media, it is a lot of people saying nice things. Right. You get like, that was cool, that podcast was great. And also opportunity. So sometimes you go into your DMs and it's like, yo, from this brand, do you want to do like, but there's people that obviously don't have that do have the, fuck, you look at Ollie Wilkins doing that, look at Jase on that trip, look at Davey on that new bike. Like, and that, it's so different. Like you can't almost put yourself in that situation anymore.
But it can turn, can't it? Because it can just be your mindset.
You could say something on here.
Like, oh yeah.
You could say something on here and the whole thing changes. Like that's the weirdest thing as well. Like you could say that one thing and everyone's like, "Fuck that guy." It's done.
But you got to know what it like. So this comes back to just like knowing what it is. You know what I mean too. Like, I don't give a fuck. Like, probably pussy is probably the only exception to this. But it's like, I don't look at anything and want it. Like, I don't look at, you know, people's lives. I don't look at, I don't see somebody's success and think like, I wish I had that. that just isn't a fucking mental concept that exists within my mind. And I think that comes back to reading the user manual. Like, what is this thing? Like, what am I looking at? And it's always like, what did I fucking used to say? I want to be an active producer instead of a passive consumer. That was like my little motto that I had, like, when Instagram first really became a thing. And it's like, I just wanted to be a part of, like, curating content in a way, or like participating in it, as opposed to just like consuming it in a sense. And then there's so many levels that you can just like see through what fucking Instagram or like social media in general is. And it's like, even down to the fact that, okay, Google, Facebook, fucking all these companies literally make the most money out of any other company. Am I saying this slow enough? They hire the smartest people in the world that are so much fucking smarter than any of us, and they just write lines of fucking code, and they just write these lines of code and these algorithms, and then they fucking farm your data. Like, that's a fucking crazy world, and that's not real. So, like, if
the whole thing's a trick, It's nothing new. It's the same as flowers being bright colours, and then they're poisonous. You know, it's the same shit. It is. It's nothing new.
But all the fucking user manual should say is, "Oi, this isn't real."
Yeah.
You got it? And then you go, "Yes, I got it." That's as fucking simple as it is.
Yeah, it's so true. I think the user manual is very important, because I actually, to go back to the question I asked, I actually don't think it's all bad. I think that so many of my relationships are off it, my livelihood, so much of my life has been recorded on it. Like, I don't actually believe it is all just bad, and it should just be Mud Cows and Dirt Magazine. I think it's like, I think just the user manual maybe is slightly overlooked and maybe should be more important. I don't know.
Do you think that it was started in a way to be negative or not? Or do you think the overall... No, I don't. I agree. I don't think so. I think it was started... I think Zuckerberg was there trying to actually create community and create...
Yeah. He was just trying to fuck.
Yeah. He was fucked.
No, he was trying to fuck. That's it.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh, dude, yeah, no doubt.
Who isn't?
No doubt. I think they all. I think they all are. I think Elon is as well. When you look at those guys, man, they're not the best looking dudes. Yeah, we all are.
Yeah. Why do you think I learned backflips? I thought it was the way. And I failed, dude. Turns out none of them give a shit about backflips.
We are all just trying to fuck. Some people are super smart, and their like way of trying to fuck is like levels beyond ours. And wait, think about all of the big, like, you've watched Game of Thrones. Look how much drama trying to fuck can create. So back then, it was people controlled an army, and then now it's people control the most fucking crazy, insane coding that can figure out how to fucking addict you and make literally billions of dollars.
Yeah. Elon's like, you won't. I can't get laid. Right, watch me put this Tesla in space, then I'll get laid. And the girl's like, it's fair.
And then, so this is the trajectory, right? You're not fucking, and you Mark Zuckerberg or Elon Musk or me or you or whoever, and then you go, all right, what can I do to fuck? that's worth the amount of time that I want to put into fucking. And then basically where you fucking... Some people start crazy companies and make fuck tons of money and get super famous. Or they don't even get super famous. Some people just make fuck tons of money, start crazy businesses, and then they buy pussy. Some people make fuck tons of money, start businesses, and then they get the wife that they always wanted, which turns out to be the wife they never wanted. Some people are stand-up comedians, so that they're on stage with the microphone, they get pussy. Some people, it's
reproduction is important. Do you know what I think is? Do you know what I think is the flaw? Right, is that I think that ultimately, if you're a content person, which I kind of feel like all of us want to work towards enlightenment, or whatever it is, that version of yourself that doesn't give a fuck, it just goes through life like really truly happy. It wakes up, listens to the birds, gets up, goes for a run, whatever it is that makes you happy, you do it. The problem with a content person is that they're not as susceptible to an advertising campaign, or you can't make a content person want something. You literally can't do it. You can't put a McDonald's advert and they want a burger. A content person makes their own mind up, or maybe I'm using the wrong word, content. You know what I mean, though?
Sorry, you're so right. That we're not supposed to be fucking happy.
No. Like, you'll own nothing and be happy, sort of thing.
So enlightenment is a real weird thing, right? Because you reach a stage of enlightenment and then you don't want anything. So, like, that's kind of what enlightenment is in a sense, right? But you have to want stuff. You know what I mean? Like, if you listen to every episode of the podcast, you know that I drone on about fucking meditation and shit. But it's like, there's a reason that your self is there. Like, the idea of self, like the conversation that you have in your mind about yourself, about the world that you live in, or that's like literally this thing that is just designed by your body to pull you in the direction. It's like there's these like set points. So it's like, have you got enough food? And then it's like, all right, this set point's been met. Have you got shelter? Have you got this? Have you got money? Have you got love? Have you got happiness? And then these things are just like constantly doing this. And like yourself, like who you think you are and who you feel you are, like the voice in your head, that's the conversation that takes place. That's like almost trying to, it's like a whack-a-mole. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's like, if people are interested in this, like you need to Google Ramana Maharshi. And he's this Indian mystic, and he lived in like the 50s, or I think he died in the 50s. But he was 16, his uncle died, and then he basically just like sat staring at his uncle's dead body. And he just had like this crazy like regression of thought and consciousness. And then over this whole like conundrum of kind of like dying, where did he go? Who is he if his body's still there and it's completely intact, but he's dead and he's no longer there? So he like really just like dug down all these different levels of like what you are. And he kind of like got to this question of like, who am I? It led to like this spontaneous enlightenment. He was 16. He fucking literally left. I think he did a few months, like 6 months or something like that, of trying to be a normal person, that he literally just never felt like a self again. It was like this enlightenment. He had no wants. He didn't talk for like 10 years. So then he ends up, after a couple months of trying to be kind of normal, he ends up, the mountain's called like Arachna or something. And it's like the famous Hindu mountain in India. That's like the mystical mountain. And anyway, he ends up just walking up to this mountain and just sat down. And so he fucking sits down and people build an ashram around him. And he has like this, he ended up coming to the same conclusion that Buddha come to, that all of the like the Taoism and fucking all of the different lineage of Buddhism and all of the different Hindu, which was the older pre-version of Buddhism. So like he ended up coming on his own with no teaching, never reading a book, no interest in spirituality, come to that same kind of conclusion. They built an ashram around him and he fucking lived there. His body stopped working because he never fucking used it. He literally just sat down all day, didn't do anything. People come like from all over the world to sit with him. They'd ask him a question. If he felt like answering it, he'd answer. If he didn't, he'd stay silent. Fucking crazy, like birds and shit used to just fly and sit on him. Like, that's what enlightenment is. And that's fucking real. And people get it. And when they do, they don't want anything ever again. And that's
they
like
put their phone in the jar.
And it's not good for your body, and you fucking die. Like he was a fairly young.
Yeah, it's crazy. Doesn't sound good. Yeah.
There's this crazy fucking thing where something happened to like his arm. They did a surgery, like a gnarly fucking surgery with just local anesthetic. He refused to have any general anesthetic for a procedure that took 5 hours, and that just literally you can't do it without general anesthetic. And he fucking did the thing. He was just gone the whole time. So I guess the moral of the story is that people aren't meant to be like that. And it's almost like hacking your own system. And I think that's kind of like, sorry to hijack it and tangent off into like meditation or whatever, but this kind of circles back to the user manual thing. There's like a way that you can hijack your own brain that isn't natural, that kind of gets you to be that way. It's very fucking rare that somebody has that experience and they stay in that experience, because it is like a physical kind of experience. But then when you have the experience, you just kind of start thinking about the experience that you just had. It's kind of like when you're on drugs and then you do drugs and then you're high as fuck and then you realize that, oh my God, I'm so high, I'm doing drugs, and then you don't feel as high anymore. It's like basically that's the exact same thing. So he basically just like stayed like that forever. So it's like that. I think that's in the user manual that you need to read. Like everybody needs to figure out what their self is, like the thing that makes all the anxiety and the thing that makes you want things and the things that make you like the wanting. Like I'm fucking down. Like I can get rid of the emotions, like the anxiety. Like there's so many things that like I feel like I've kind of read the manual for, and I've like got ways to work around them. The wanting thing is still not. I've not got that part of it dialed, but that's all in this kind of like user manual. And it's like I really think people need to, from the fucking moment they figure out that life's kind of hard and they're going to have to figure a bunch of shit out to make it work, then you really need to just like spend a lot of time like studying the user manual as hard as you can.
Yeah,
and then
wanting's hard, isn't it?
Being in the real world and making it work like as much as you can to get by, you know?
Wanting's super hard because it's also drive, and I always want to be driven because being driven helps me not going mad. Like I want to have drive, so I don't want to just sit there.
I think you said something really interesting the other week, Collie, about money. You said that you don't ever want to care about money, but that means you need to. I can't remember what you said. You might remember something about you don't want to.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, you don't want to care about money, but at the same time, you need to care about money, so you don't care about money. So you've got to get to a point where you have enough of something that you don't even care about it anymore because you're sustainable, you can pay your bills, whatever. And I'm the similar as that. I used to be, that guy that was, I wanted the Lamborghini. We always joke about it, but like I wanted the Lamborghini and I wanted the big house and I wanted this and that. And I think as I've learned about myself and I've read the user manuals and I've learned about meditation and being content with like quite small things, that really that's all I really need as a person. I don't want to have all the shit anymore. I'm just not interested. And it's lovely to get to that point where at a weekend I don't care about going out and blowing money on expensive nights out and meals and this and cars and shit. I just want to go ride my bike in the woods. I just want to go for a walk with my dog, and that's me like sweet. Like I'm golden at that level. And it's nice to get to that point. Maybe that just comes with age, but I think a lot of people, like we were talking about before, are caught up in looking at all other people's shit and all other people's, aspirations or whatever they are, or just getting distracted. And that's the thing, like you're just constantly distracted by noise. And I think that's why the podcast thing's been so sort of popular with people, because you can sort of like feel like you sat with some mates that maybe your friends. Someone listening to this, their friends don't want to have those deep conversations in a pub. They just want to talk about getting laid, like buying shit. And you want to like sit and you want to zone out. You want to be part of something. You want to come away feeling better about yourself. And I think that's hopefully, as we all do, like we try and put good energy back out into the world and positive vibes, positive comments and stuff.
Yeah. When I think it's worth mentioning, actually, I just feel bad. When I say any of this shit, I'm not immune to it. I'm commenting on it. You know what I mean? Because it gets, it does, all of it gets me as well. Same. If I'm in a shit way, so like I kind of feel guilty for like commenting on it because I contribute to it. I post pictures of me and my life on Instagram. And like if I'm in a shit way, I also look at Instagram, and whether it's conscious or subconscious, I also look at Instagram and get fear of missing out, or I feel like I'm not doing good in life. Like, so yeah, on a podcast, I feel like it's good because you do just end up just talking about that stuff, but I never want it to be misconstrued. Like I haven't got my shit together either. Like I think it's good to talk about it because you do.
Yeah, and it's almost like, it feels like for me at least, like workshopping ideas, like you kind of you've got these thoughts. We're all in the process of learning. And, you know, I speak to Glenn and he's fucking 60 and it's like, we're having the same conversations. He's learning new shit every day. I think like probably the thing that I'm working on doing at the moment when it comes to like the wants is you've kind of got to like set your life up to want the right things, because you know that you're going to want things. Like you have to want things. And like you said, like want is your drive. Well, you've got to hack your system, hack your environment, hack everything around you to make you want the right things. And content, you can spend, you know, if you spend 3 hours a day on Instagram, don't feel like a piece of shit. If you're watching the right 3 hours worth of shit on Instagram that's like making you want the right things, like I bought that new camera. Before I bought that new camera, I probably spent 15 hours on YouTube studying that camera so that when it got here, I could use the camera. And it's like, I'm watching fucking YouTube for 3 hours or however many hours. It's like, am I a piece of shit? No, I'm watching something that is, you know, and I think that ultimately life is about input and output. Like there's this kind of like world that you're interfacing with, and it's got things in it that you can then, you know, it's like, it kind of goes like this. And it's just like input, output, input, output, input, output. If you have fucking shit as your input, how are you supposed to turn fucking shit to cake batter? Like, you're not, you know what I mean? So like, if you've got negativity coming in, negativity's going out. If you've got, and it's like, it's hard to be positive all the time. It's hard to, you know, like there's sometimes like I watch fucking anime. You know what I mean? Like there's not a lot that's coming from that, but it's like I set up my life to mostly be like these really controlled inputs. And I mean, fuck, I'm the biggest hypocrite right now, but like I pay for YouTube Premium. I pay for Spotify Premium. Actually, no, you still get ad revenue when you're premium, so I'm good. But like I don't watch ads. I don't listen to the radio. I don't have the news. I couldn't tell you anything that's going on right now. Like I've kind of operate on a strategy of, if it's important enough, I'll get told what it is, basically. But it's like, dude, inputs, outputs. Who are the people that you're around? They're inputs. Like you're constantly receiving inputs. And it was part of the thing that kind of like scared me with social media, is that there's an algorithm. Like I started thinking of it in a weird way. So like, let's say you hold the phone here, right? So you hold the phone here, you can see what's on this bit. Under here is a complete fucking mystery to you. So you're going, fuck! Oh,
fingers crossed!
Yeah. And that's what it feels like.
Yeah.
Especially through COVID, I'm like, what fucking bullshit am I about to see? And then when you see that pattern of like, you don't know what the fuck you're going to see. You don't know what ads you're going to see. There's so many things where like these random fucking inputs, and then I guess the more you go down the meditation rabbit hole, your outputs aren't really yours in a sense, you know, like if you live in this cause and effect universe, and you didn't pick your parents, and you didn't pick your hometown, and you didn't pick the school you went, and there's all these things that you didn't pick, yet they shaped who you are in a mixture with the DNA that you were given that you didn't pick. So it's like there's all of these genetic fucking, oh, I've got small calves. Am I going to see some cunt with big calves on Instagram? It's going to make me feel insecure about my cunt. You know? You don't know.
Yeah.
Your next input is, and you don't know what your response to that input is going to be.
I think that's why it's so important to avoid that shit in the morning.
If you know what you don't know, then you need to fucking avoid the things that are going to give you some shit. You know what I mean? Like you need to know what's going to be a problem for you, and you need to fucking set up your life so you're nowhere near that shit. That's friends, that's family, that's fucking media that you consume, that's social media that you consume, that's fucking red flags that you meet in fucking chicks that you're around. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like there's just, you have to be so careful with your life and your time to really fucking get the most out of it, you know?
Yeah, 100%. And like I was saying, that's why I think in the morning, That's so important to avoid that. To avoid that scroll hole when you wake up, because that can set your whole day on a different trajectory. You could wake up feeling like the Dalai Lama. You scroll your phone, you see some guy getting his head cut off. Done. The day's done.
Yeah.
The week's done.
Dude, if whatever that app shows you, if it was a human being, you'd just be like, like you wouldn't hang out with the person. You know what I mean? They showed you the haircut. I'm like, check that out. Nah, dude, fuck off. It's breakfast time.
And I think that your routine is real important as well. Like, I actually think that you can circumvent a lot of the potential potholes by having a really good routine. So, like, if you do get derailed at any point, which happens fucking frequently, by someone else's bad mood, by road rage, by fucking something you see on social media, by like whatever, then you've always got shit, like, you know what you're doing next, and it's something that you want to do. So it's like, okay, fuck, whatever, I'll go do this thing. And it's like, there's no way out of it. You're committed to it. It's a habit. It's a routine. Like, you're fucking doing it. And so, I think that's like the hack for that shit. Like, when you do get the little oopsies that comes and gets you.
Totally.
I reckon a big part of just being slightly aware, even, is a really good thing. I like it when we talk about it on the podcast, because I feel like I haven't always thought about any of that stuff, any of like how I consume. And like when you do talk about it, it's not. All of us are susceptible to it. All of us get it, and I feel like it plays a bigger part in your mood than you maybe think. And then you zoom out again, and you do it over a generation, and you do it over the entire world, and you just wonder what effect it actually has on.
I wonder if
all of these hairless apes.
The crazy thing, man, is that there's studies that have been done on judges, parole judges, and basically there's like a 90-something% denial rate of parole if it's within a certain window of the judge's lunch, before they've eaten lunch. So basically, like, if your parole hearing is scheduled before lunch, you're fucked. If you're the first parole hearing after lunch, there's a statistical, it's like the same again on the other side. So like, we're just fucking monkeys. Like, crazy. So that's the thing, is like, read the manual about being this dumb fucking monkey that's like so easy to push around. Like, if food can like be the deciding factor in someone getting parole or not, like, we're fucking useless.
You're right.
There needs to be a judge that's just got like a cheese board.
Just grazes all day.
Being fed grapes.
A chick that feeds them grapes, 100%. That's the way. That's justice.
The next problem is, who writes the rule book? Who writes the instruction manual? Like, it has to be you ultimately, doesn't it? And that's the like, it has to be yourself writes the instruction manual for you. So then we're all gonna have different instruction manuals. It's tough, man.
I thought you literally meant me. I was like, I'm not writing it.
Jase, it has to be you.
I feel like Joe Rogan.
You are the chosen one.
I feel like Joe Rogan should write the manual. He should sit there, write a manual.
You reckon?
Send it out to everyone. There's a few.
There's a bunch of cool people.
Yeah, there's a few people that could write a good manual, I think. A good way to live.
But yeah, that's like again, that's inputs, you know, like, you've got, and the beautiful thing about the human brain, this is something I've been thinking about more and more lately, is that once you understand something, then you understand it. Once you understand English, you can't not hear English. Once you 2 + 2 = 4, you can't not understand that thing. So like, the human mind can be changed so easily, and your understanding of things, and then it's instant, and then your life is better. So it's
like a different angle. It's like you're watching it from a different angle, like the same thing, 100%. Just slightly skew.
100%, man. And then there is, I guess, like the book has been written, you know, like the oldest questions have the oldest answers. Like, look at the real old shit, like Marcus Aurelius.
Study Stoicism.
Shit.
Yeah,
there's just like, there's
Meditations
so
is like a game changer. If you've not read Meditations, it's a game changer. It's fucking sick. It's so good. I'm going to get a tattoo shortly, and I'm having she's going to do a stencil of Marcus Aurelius, hopefully. I'm not getting it today, but
sick.
Yeah, I'm going to get... I just really would like to have his face on my body somewhere. So, yeah. That's funny you said that.
He's a G.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like the oldest, and you know, these are old questions, like how do you be happy? How do you live a good life? Like it's not, you know, it's not something that's come up recently. It's not like paleo and happiness. We've been thinking about it for ages. So yeah, it's like and then again, I think that there's like I feel like there should be a percentage of time that you dedicate to just like figuring out the fucking like the user manual in a sense.
I agree. I think what I was just thinking then, it's, you know, you can see your screen time on your phone, and you can look at like, all right, look how much time I spent on my phone today, or on this app, and I really hope it's not a point where you get to the end of your days and you really like that data is still available, and you can look at it and go, look how much time I've spent like wasting time on this shit. That is really scary to think that even now, where we're at now, and how long we've been using social media, the hours, the days, the time wasted looking at shit and being consumed by shit. I really hope that's not the case, that you get to those, because at some point, man, we're all going to have our final breath, and I personally really don't want there to be any fuck, I shouldn't have done that, you know, or whatever. I really do.
This is a weird question to go to the social media thing. When will you quit social media? What's the age? Have you ever thought about what's the day what's the last time you ever use Instagram?
Yeah, I know. Because there has been one, but you didn't know it was happening. Like MySpace, there was a last post that we've done on MySpace, and all of a sudden it's not a thing. It's not even a thing anymore. And the same with Vine. We used probably Vine, and everyone did a last post, and you didn't know that was going to be the last shit. And it's going to happen.
That's your whole life, bro.
Yeah. How weird.
It's insane, isn't it?
But then that is your whole fucking life. And if you can go through life thinking like, this might be the last time I ever hug my mum. This might be the last time I ever ride my bike. This might be my last time I ever get. Speaking of meditations, I guess that's a thing that's sort of from that. But yeah, it's like I think about that. I actually had a conversation with a friend who he had a bit of a drug problem, and I said to him, I was like, you know, there's a last time you'll use cocaine, right? Like there is, whether it's like you die from an overdose, whether you fucking your life is ruined and you're just like you're in ruins, and your last line of cocaine is like fucking you're 65 years old and you're a piece of shit. Or is the last line of cocaine something you've already done and then you never do this again? I'm like, I'm not trying to, and I said I'm not trying to influence you in a specific way. I'm not judging you. I'm just asking you to think about when is, like, just ponder the last time you'll do this. Have you got a plan? You know? And then he like, I mean, I don't know where he's at now. Like, we're not close friends. But I mean, he come up to me a few months later. I honestly, I think he's doing better. But yeah, it's like, he come up to me a few months later. He's like, man, that conversation was gnarly. Like that did make me think about it. And, it's funny. So this is like me not being, so we're talking about being hypocrites. Like this is me not being able to take my own advice in a sense. So, Blake Friend, he's, Daniel Ricciardo's like manager, and we were talking, and, it was like honestly it was like that moment for me, but with this whole kind of world that we're talking about. And, when Danny won Monza, he was in the photos, but he wasn't tagged with everyone else. And Danny's got like fucking millions and millions of followers, right? And then here's Blake, all the fucking clout in the world, no Instagram, no tag, no nothing. And I spoke to him about it, and I was like, because I like congratulated him on the win or whatever. And then I was like, man, honestly, most baller fucking thing like I've ever seen is you in those photos with no fucking Instagram tag. And he's like, dude, it's not that big a deal. He goes, there's going to be a day anyway that it was the last time I used Instagram. why couldn't it be now?
Wow.
And I was like, fuck, I've given that advice to someone else and I've like never applied it, you know? And so yeah, it's like it's something weird to think about. Like we're all just kind of like doing this thing, and no one's got an exit plan. What is it? A novelty? Is it a part of me? Is it a fucking? Yeah. Is it like what is it?
Is it going to be literally like on your deathbed? It's been fun, folks. Peace. Like that's the last photo you take.
Yeah, you can't look. Just being aware of the ceiling, like knowing about the ceiling or knowing it's coming. It sounds really morbid, but if you just think about it, even just subconsciously in everything you do, it would change how you do things. And like certain people you'd hang out with, you'd just be like, don't know if I'm going to go and hang out with that person or whatever. You know what I mean? You'd just be like, make the most of it, like make it happen.
1,000,000%. It's so crazy, like the way that, like, you know, you start to filter out people in your life and you start to drill down into like priorities and shit like that with just that mindset. You're like, oh fuck, this guy's kind of a dick. He kind of just talks shit the whole time. Like, yeah, he's cool with it, but it's like, fuck that dude. Like, how many friends do you need? What, you need 50 friends? What are you, a fucking weirdo? Like, have 5 good friends living a good life. What are you doing? Like, hanging out with good people.
So true. Guys, I would love to sit and chat for another 3 hours, but I got a tattoo booked, and I'm really sorry that we got to start wrapping up.
No, that's all good, boys.
Nice.
Jase, we got to get you on again, dog.
Yeah, well, the doors.
I don't know what the fuck we've talked about. We haven't talked about anything probably that you'd put in a chapters of a book or anything like that. We just talked about any old joke.
It's kind of what we do. It's kind of our thing. We got a few listener questions. I only put this up this morning because I forgot that we were doing this because I'm an idiot guy. But if it's okay, we'll just fire through a couple of them. Jase, we didn't. They didn't know you were coming on, but there's a few that we can no doubt hit. All right, what we got? There's a lot of bike questions, so we'll avoid those.
Boots and cats.
Listener questions. That was all right, man. I'm impressed.
Well, it's a good thing there aren't a load of moto questions, eh?
Yeah.
Bro, I've raced state championships in downhill. I'm a fucking downhill.
Oh, dude, I know you're a G.
Dude.
You're a G.
Dude. He's a mud cow, dude.
He's a mud cow.
Yeah, mud cow, bro.
At Lucas Craig, do you have go-to music, etc., to fire you up before a ride?
Oh, probably. I am pretty into music. I'm the dude that still likes a real good stereo. Like the new shit, even though it's like pretty good, it's just not good enough. And I think it's like the old mud cows, crusty. Like we're fucking music people.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Jack Harlow at the moment. Not really fired up. I'm more of like a vibe guy. Like I just like a good vibe. But yeah, Jack Harlow's sick.
Is there a particular Jack Harlow song?
Oh my god, why am I getting a fucking? I can't. No.
All right, we'll throw one at Jack Harlow in the playlist.
Next question.
We got a Jack Harlow.
Sprung Monkey. Was Sprung Monkey a band on Mud Cows? Yes, dude. Yes, dude.
Yeah, what the fuck?
Yeah, I'll just there you go.
Well, someone must have made a Spotify Mud Cows playlist.
Keep it light.
Keep it light.
That's the best. That's the best Jack Harlow song. I love that song.
All right, we'll throw it in our playlist, folks. If you don't know, there's a Spotify playlist for all the ride companion music.
And then the Wanna album from Gunna, it's like the pink one, is like fucking ridiculous. That to me, I've been stuck on that album for so long.
All right, Gunna.
Yeah.
Okay.
ATL baby.
ATL baby. All right, I'll check it out as well. What else we got? Lewis Craig, same guy. Thoughts on mid-ride beers, as in bringing bottles along? Not for me. I'm not a mid-ride beers guy. Funny story. I had 1 pint last night, Friday night. Me and the boys went out for a quick bike ride. I had 1 pint, and I shit you not, I could barely see. I was jaded. I was like, 1 pint, about a 10-mile bike ride, pub, 1 mile, 5 or 6 miles home. Couldn't see. I was fucked. I was in a right tangle. So yeah, no mid-ride beers unless it's 0%. Shout out Days. Code TRC Days gets you 10% off, 15% off.
Yeah, no, not a beers guy. I sort of don't really drink at all, to be honest. I just like weed. I smoke a lot of weed. Weed's my thing.
Yeah.
I feel like it works for me, and I don't definitely ride. I guess like there would be effects of cannabis in my system maybe when I ride, but I'm not like a sit and smoke and ride.
You're not a stank dog guy.
I mean, I've done it before, and it's just like I guess it just depends. It's not my usual thing, but guarantee as soon as that bike is loaded, I'm getting fucking stoned. The same music that was on the way there, it's going on the way home.
Dude, I can't. I've never been able to. I have to be. I'm too intense. I can't have any external thing. And being at trails, obviously everyone smokes weed and rides trails. I can't imagine it. I can't imagine being like drinking. I can't imagine any other factor. Because like just when I'm crashing, it's all in slow motion. I'm trying to work out what part of my body to hit, and I just can't imagine being like, I don't know, thinking about like when I upset someone or the cosmos.
It's like I feel ya, and I also I don't go fast enough. So I'm pretty slow. So I've got time to think. But also,
that's sick. I like the idea of that.
So I'm slow. Chilling. So maybe just don't be so fucking good at riding to where there's a risk of crashing, and then it's a different conversation.
That's funny, man.
At Moonhead Heart, does Chewbacca have a human penis or a red rocket thing like a dog?
Oh, never thought about it. Kind of want him to have a red rocket.
Same. I hope he's got a
Chicks would still
dick on him.
Chicks still would. He'd be on fucking Brazzers or something.
Yeah.
Could you imagine Chewbacca's OnlyFans, bro?
He'd be doing better than what's that girl's name who just did $50 million?
Big bad Chewbacca.
Big bad Chewbacca.
It would be big as well, wouldn't it? There's something so creepy about dog dicks, though, eh? Because they're sort of recognisable. It's like you sort of like kind of hear where he's coming from, but also you're like, yeah, it doesn't look like mine.
I imagine it like an octopus, where like you know how octopus they have their own brain, but they're like a part of it. And he's probably got two.
He probably does.
I love that Chewbacca would have OnlyFans. Holy shit!
He'd kill it, dude. Imagine the Manscaped ads.
Yeah,
he'd kill it.
Can you imagine like there'd be a whole industry of like cosplay porn and shit
that
would go on. Like it'd be like, dude, he could be like the Daft Punk of fucking porn too, because like there's Chewbacca suits. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so, like,
yeah.
You can get it so dialed to where he doesn't even have to like perform anymore. You know?
Yeah.
Did you see that I think she was called Bad Baby did $50 million on OnlyFans in a month. 1 month. $50 million. Holy shit. From a what was it, Dr. Phil show that she did. Holy.
Oh,
so
that
impressive.
Yeah, it was the girl who said, catch me outside. That girl.
Oh, well, she does porn. She does full porn or not?
I don't know what she does, man. She's got 50 million. She doesn't need another $8 or $9 out of me to find out. I don't know.
No, come on, dude. It's for the Ride Companion. It's research, it's marketing.
Research, bro.
Yeah, you got to send us the code. Come on, dude. Don't be tight.
All right, I'll do it. I'll do it for you.
If I didn't have a mum and knew I wouldn't have kids, I would 100% do porn. I think that would be the most fun thing ever. Can you imagine how fun traveling would be if you were just like you just did some
pack
porn
up your dick.
Like you got YouTube and the podcast and stuff, but then like you like making content, you're doing the trip anyway. There's good money in it.
Yeah.
You collaborate with some like. I don't know, like some fucking famous porn chick.
Yeah.
They've already got a crib in Barcelona. Like, I'm going to Barcelona. You just go to Barcelona. You make a fucking vlog.
I tell you what, dude, you're not thinking about it straight, right? I go on trips. I go on trips, right? I upload a YouTube video. from my trip. I spend out hours editing it. I upload it. I do my best riding in the video. I try my hardest to make it entertaining. When it comes back with the 10 out of 10 on the YouTube analytics, it affects me, right? It affects me. I think, oh man, maybe people don't like this anymore. Like, maybe I'm not.
Like
There's something less about me. If they had me bareback in my most intimate of moments and I got the big 10 out of 10, do you know that? I can't say that wouldn't affect me. You know what I mean, though, right?
Yeah, I hadn't thought about it like that.
Like the comment section would be brutal.
Yeah, yeah. It's not about the number one video. It's about the 10 out of 10 video. It's about those are the championship moments when you can pull through from that.
Yeah, you don't like winning. You just hate losing.
I get like, if you think Pink Bike comments are bad, imagine what Odub comments are like.
Oh man,
Just came here for a big dick,
weird.
didn't see one.
Yeah.
All that sort of
Even
stuff.
Chewbacca wouldn't be immune to that. Look at this hairy bastard.
Hey, good question. Send that dude something easy. That was a good question.
It was a good question.
It was, yeah.
Wow. Okay, John Boy 1066. Whoop sections on mountain bike trails. What's the point? Supercross, thumbs up. Mountain bike, ugly. And I seen there was a mini whoop section on that Vanta trail.
Mate, this is a good topic. This is a current one for me, and it's good to have Jase here. From the outside, you've got to watch mountain bike whoops and just think like, come on.
Sorry, what was the question?
Mountain bike whoops, yay or nay?
Yeah, look, it's weird for me, right? Because, like, it's just a physics thing. So the reason why whoops work good. So I'm going to just give you this. Let's break this down from.
Go on, let's have some truth, dude. Mountain bike whoops.
Davey,
Yep.
This is going to be a thumbnail. This is going to be a fucking thing.
Yeah.
This will be one of the YouTube clips that you do.
Okay.
Let's talk about
Bring
this
it
from a physics perspective. Why mountain bike whoops don't work. All right. This is the easy one. Motocross. You make them fucking long and real big. All right. They stay the same size the whole way through.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got a motor that can stay the same the whole way through. So now it becomes a balancing act of like you're hitting these whoops. Every time you hit the whoop, the bike wants to slow down. So then you put the rear wheel in so the bike goes forward. And you go bap, 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 bap. And it's a lovely little physics dance that we're doing between track builder, between right hand of throttle, between knees holding the bike, and then between motor and suspension. There's this beautiful dance that you can do. And it's like a...
And body
like
positions in there too, the whole thing.
It's its own little race within the race. It's this little section that's set up to challenge it. You just can't do that on a mountain bike. It's just that simple. You're just missing too many elements. You're missing... So, like, you have to make them big and then start small because as the bike slows down, like, if you kept them the same size, it would just come to a dead stop. So it's kind of just becomes like a moot point, you know? Like,
dude,
there's physically...
I couldn't be more with you. Until I saw a slow-mo of me going through them. The real life experience of it was my head, like going around. I felt like a squid. I felt like my feet were coming off. I felt like I really didn't feel good. And then I saw a slow-mo of me going through them, and it made me want to put Enya as the music. I felt like Ken Roxon when I was watching the slow-mo. So the difference between... And then do you know what I thought? Then I thought, well, maybe just all the moto guys feel like squids when they're going through a whoop section as well. They just...
Whoops are honestly crazy. Like, I just think that it can't be in moto. I mean, maybe this is the challenge that, like, how do you make good whoop sections for mountain bikes? Like, is there a way that you can do it that it's like, I mean, yeah, I don't know. Maybe
I have an idea.
Funky shit. All right,
I have an idea, right? So
Please.
I agree with you. We don't have motors, so how can we drive ourselves? Gravity could be the answer. If you make it steep enough, you could actually effectively do it. It'd be very dangerous, but you could, on a steep section, you could make the whoops. It'd be very hard.
Yeah. Very tough to break for the next corner.
Perhaps. perhaps someone out there can get a steep section of hill and they can just experiment with whoops. I've only ever done it.
Mate, I think this is your calling. Honestly, I think this is you. I think you've just nominated yourself to build some whoops in the Surrey Hills.
Get me strapped up, all right then.
Yeah.
The good thing is that you can start small. This is if you're dedicated to the whoopery. This is a good thing. Like you can build 4 and be like, pa, 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 and then you can get a little bit sketchy and come out. But then you do one more and one more and one more and one more, and you can kind of get in there. Yeah, dude. Actually, you know who could probably engineer this quite well would be Remy Morton.
Yeah,
good engineer.
You're right.
Well. Yeah, you're right.
I feel like it just,
you are right.
It's probably just so maybe we bracket it by saying current mountain bike whoops is a no. Future endless possibility whoops is a yes.
We've got to the end of it.
Yeah, we need the right person, we need the right bike, we need the right
speed in.
I like that.
Okay.
Yeah, but then you need to figure out. So there's just an equation that needs to be made to where, like you said, you're adding gravity, and then you need to figure out because then it just becomes about entry speed and timing.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So it's but then it's like I guess the thing is if you, I guess it's just entry speed. You just want to have it set up because like the good guys in Supercross, I don't know whether this is like common knowledge or not, but you've got like 3 whoops, right? The first 3 whoops. So the good guys will wheelie, and their front tire will miss the first whoop by like a bee's dick, and then it'll go over, and then it'll touch just here on the first one, and then the rear tire is the first thing to hit the second whoop, and then so like the way you get like that crazy entry speed is to like lift up your bike so it's super light, almost like bunny hopping.
It's like pre-jumping,
and then touching that third wheel. And the good guys can even get their their rear wheel to touch the third one first as well.
Yeah.
So
we should be able to work out the scale. You know, we should be able to take wheelbase of a moto, whoop height, depth, distance apart. Should be able to actually work it out and make it happen on a steep hill. It would be quite. I'd like to have AMA measurements.
Because the thing is, and like it can't be. I feel like the only way I've ever seen that's the Cairns whoops are.
Yeah, I was going to say there's something
in a straightaway, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but they just look like real aggressive braking.
I was going to say they look like braking bumps, and I feel like from watching that, the riders weren't really putting much emphasis on the technique or anything. It was just a case of like, just get through them as quick as you can.
Yeah.
It's not like you're hopping over anything or anything like that. But yeah, I think there's something in that, Ollie. I think that's your...
Dude, look, I look nearly like...
Mate, is that Roxon?
Nearly looks
that's Barsha, isn't it? You've got the same jersey, the whole thing. That's Barsha.
It's not Barsha. Dude, it's not Barsha. I promise, that's me.
It's Sexton, bro. That's a sex bomb, baby.
The 23.
Right, what you said about clips, right? I've got another good... I actually do have a clip. Okay, Davey? This is the start of a clip.
Benny, start of a clip.
Benny, the start of a clip. Young Benny, get ready to go. Jase, I feel like as a mountain biker, I'm permanently trying to mimic moto stuff. Whether it's a scrub, a whip. We've just had a conversation about whoops. From a moto perspective, how lame is this?
It's honestly, I never knew this was a thing, right? I never knew this was a thing in the way that it is. And it has only been through the podcast. Like, I was just in the moto bubble forever, right? Like, I kind of didn't... And you'd meet the odd person, like Matt LeBlanc from Friends, and you'd find out, like, he came to Supercross, and then you'd find out that he was, like, a crazy Supercross fan, and you're like, well, that's fucking weird. But it was just seemed like a bubble. And then, since I started the podcast, I cannot fucking believe the amount of people that love moto. And it's been, like, honestly mind-blowing. Like, most of the fucking downhill dudes listen to the podcast, and sorry, this is a shameless plug. This is just the only data that I got. But it's like most of the downhill boys listen to the podcast. There's, like, NASCAR boys that listen to the podcast. There's, you know, like, you got the MotoGP boys, and then Danny Ricks listened to it and there's so many people from these different places. So to answer your question, Ollie, it's not even just a mountain bike thing. There's something weird about motorcycles, and I just think we're like handlebar people. Like that's kind of what I'm sort of putting it down to. So it's like we're just handlebar people. There's bars and there's wheels, and then if you've got like your Venn diagram, there's like a crossover with like the steering wheel people. But it's like you have the thing in your hand, and then you have the thing that makes it go forward, and then that's what we all are. And I just think that moto is the weird thing that's kind of like, it's so fucking relatable to a mountain bike guy because it's handlebars and wheels and it's on dirt, and it's relatable to a MotoGP guy because it's wheels and it's handlebars and it's not on the road, it's on dirt, so the dirt thing kind of comes with it. And then the car people can relate to it because it's what they do, but it's -2 wheels and no seatbelt and no, so like it kind of like fucks with their brain. And then the mountain bike guys can relate to a lot of like the racing stuff, and so it's just this weird little intersection. It's like the weird little sweet spot in the middle. So I don't think it's lame at all. I just think it's like this natural kind of, it's like a basin where everyone gets caught in a sense. And,
you know what I think is interesting.
It's what got me, you know.
Yeah, you know what I think is interesting. I'd love to know if this is a thing or not. So if you take the top 10 downhill guys, and you showed them a picture of the top 10 moto guys, whoever they are, you go, here you go, Eli, that's Tomac, that's that. How many of the moto guys do you think keep an eye on the mountain bike side? Like, do you think that, like,
not enough?
Yeah, I agree. Like, I feel like all the mountain bike guys, will tune in to watch A1, but the moto guys probably aren't going, oh, it's Fort William this weekend, I can't wait to watch that. There doesn't seem to be a crossover back the other way. There probably is a few guys. Maybe Eli's a good example, actually, because of his dad being brought up in mountain biking and stuff. But I'm pretty much sure that, like, Barsha isn't thinking, oh, Fort William this weekend, I can't wait to watch the Downhill World Cup. And why do you think that is? Like, is there something missing from the sport? Is it not exciting enough? I don't know. This is a constant thing that I think about.
It's a communication problem. Like, you can see, like, the UFC was fucking tiny until it wasn't. Like there was a thing that got it out to like millions and millions of people, and I think that there's just a product that gets delivered, and then that product is distributed, like you've got Supercross, it's just on TV in America, and then it's live streamed, and again, it's like that catchment kind of thing. Because I think that for anyone that rides, this is, I guess, like a more I'm not sure what the word I'm looking for here, like a more esoteric kind of deal, but it's like when you're a kid and you get given a motorcycle, it's different to a BMX bike, or it's different to any of that stuff, because you've got a fucking explosion in your legs. Like you're sitting on an explosion, and it feels like that.
I feel like you really go somewhere as well. It's like a proper feeling of freedom. It's like
100%, man. I honestly think that it's the first time in your life that you really feel freedom when you're a young person. Like if you ride young. And the thing is that so many people that end up being mountain bike world champions, or NASCAR drivers, or Formula One drivers, or MotoGP riders, they all started with that first experience for the most part. And then I think that even if you didn't, you can look at it and like relate to it. So I think it's almost not like they're doing something wrong. It's almost like downhill or mountain biking they're not really doing something wrong. It's probably just doesn't have that, like it just hits different in a sense.
Yeah.
But I also think like honestly, man, that Rico Wilson documentary that they did, The Flying Scotsman. Have you both watched that?
I haven't seen it yet, I'll be honest. It keeps coming up on my algorithm, but I haven't seen it.
Have you seen it, Ollie?
I've watched the start. Yeah, I'm a big fan of the dude who made it. Yeah,
me too. Now, yeah, dude, that honestly was like one of the best action sports documentaries I've ever watched. Like it was so fucking good, and that's what it made me be like, oh, I want to go to Worlds this year. Like I got to do this. So yeah, it's like part of it. You guys have the craziest dudes, and like the. Honestly, I watched the first World Cup this year and went like, all right, this is probably getting a bit fucking silly, boys.
Like, yeah, I hear you,
Well, I go, what are you sure? Like, you sure? This is something that you're all fucking cool with, because you're all going real fast. That's real gnarly. And some serious shit could go down, you know?
Yeah.
So I think,
like imagine one lap Supercross.
insane.
I guess that's what it's like, isn't it? One lap Supercross or one lap motocross. Like, imagine what one lap Supercross would look like. It would be made illegal, wouldn't it?
Yeah, 100%. Could you imagine if someone built a Supercross track that went for 3 minutes that didn't loop back on itself?
Oh my.
Mate, that's a concept right there.
I'm doing it.
That's a concept right there.
You would see some fucking psychotic shit.
Yeah.
I don't think you'd be skipping the first 2 whoops. Put it that way. I don't think number 1 would be skipping the first 2 whoops.
180 corners.
Oh my. Just hoping nothing catches. Oh.
Just 180 corners, man, all the way. That'd be good, man.
That's what you guys have in downhill.
Yeah.
You guys have like a 3-minute fucking sprint, and they can do it over and over and over and over, and the same tracks, and then the bikes get better, and then the riders get better. Like, it, honestly, downhill is fucking insane. So I think that it's right there. Like, I just think that it probably doesn't have the same nostalgic association as what Moto does for just so blanket, so many people. And I mean, that was us, we were just young kids, and I never got over it. It never left me. The same thing was in mountain bike.
I think also if you just use the whip as a metaphor, because that's probably what I chase the hardest, I'd say.
That's the universal language of Steez.
Yeah, innit? So it's like, if you look at a moto whip, I know what it feels like in my head. You know what I mean? Like, I run it over, and I don't necessarily think that a moto guy looks at a mountain bike whip and because I can't achieve it, but not nowhere near. But in my head, I know what it feels like. I know what it feels like to be there and just be like, and then it come back round. All of those things. I feel like there's something in that you can't achieve in mountain biking. That's why we're all going after it. And I don't know. I think maybe that's why the balance is always that way inclined.
Yeah, maybe. But I think that it's one thing that I think about with speed. Like, all these sports that we're doing, it's about speed, right? And so I'm not very fast, and Chase Sexton is very fast, but the feeling's the same. So I feel like I need to brake, and I'm getting that same anxiety, because essentially when you're going into a corner or you're going fucking full steam, you need to hit the brakes because of anxiety. You feel we're all just making ourselves anxious. And
self-doubt. You're braking because of self-doubt.
Yeah, it's anxiety. So and this is every fucking thing that we're doing. So this is breaking down all of action sports, right? Anxiety, relief. Anxiety, relief. Welcome up downhill. Anxiety. And then you're relief. Anxiety. And then you get down, and then you look at the fucking scoreboard, and you won. Relief, excitement. That's all we're fucking doing. So it's not like Chase Sexton gets more anxiety than me, or I get more anxiety than him.
No, you're right, yeah.
I probably do, in a sense. Overall, when you zoom out, I'm probably more scared riding a bike than what he is. But in terms of the anxiety that he would feel to make him hit the brakes to then move through a turn in a pace where he can predict that he's not going to crash, and then that prediction comes true, and then he makes another prediction, and then another and he nails it. The feeling that the ping that you'd be getting that would give you anxiety to make you hit the brakes, we all experience that. So I think that relatability is what I think that's pretty universal, you know. And I think that's why you appreciate the speed that people can go. I look at a downhill guy and I can relate because I've raced downhill before. I know the feeling that it feels like to be on the edge and then make it and pull it off. And it's like a fucking local race. And, you know, like Rico's fucking Reese Wilson's version of that is being the gnarliest cunt in the world. So, but the feeling itself, I think, is the same. So, like, I think you're right about that whole relatability deal.
Yeah.
Wow. Folks,
Clip.
Sorry. I gotta bounce. I gotta go. I'm so sorry. I'd love to sit.
He's getting tatted up.
Right.
I gotta get someone put
Inked up, bro.
ink in your body. It's weird, isn't it, really? But hey.
Where are you getting it?
I'm having it's like
I've got some new tattoos.
a leg band. Have you seen like just the bands around your leg?
No.
Oh man, it's literally a black line around my leg. That's all I'm getting. I just always wanted one, so I'm just going for it. I'm just committing. I just want it, and a little bit of text on my wrist. My favourite quote, which is "Follow your bliss." Joseph Carlson.
Done.
Joseph Carlson. Yeah. Joseph Campbell. Joseph Campbell. One of them.
So, just make sure you get the spelling more
Yeah.
correct.
Follow you are bliss.
Yeah. Why? Well, yeah. I'm stoked you boys had me on.
Mate, anytime. The door is always open. It's a shame about the time delay. I don't know what time it is right there for you, but yeah, it's just a time delay. Sometimes it fucks us up. But
yeah, it's just like I'm trying to do the training at all costs thing at the moment. Like I'm just fully like there was an open mat tonight, and then I got a text from one of the black belts, and he's like, "You coming to open mat?" I'm like, "Oh!" Like I've got that fucking that pain of missing shit in that sense at the moment. But we've been talking about it for so long.
I appreciate you, man. Thank you, and I appreciate everything you've done and all the help you've given me over the last however long we've known each other, man. It feels like 5-6 years or something now. It's crazy, and really looking forward to getting together hopefully soon as well in person when you come to Europe. Maybe, or I'm coming to Oz for Crankworks or something. We're going to do something.
Crankworks.
Yeah, I'm feeling Crankworks.
Crankworks is which one are you going to?
Cairns, boy.
Oh, dude, I would love to. Never been to Australia, dude. Never been to the land down under. I'd love to.
Let's get an Airbnb and we'll make a fucking content house where Team 10.
Yeah.
I like the sound of this.
All that shit.
Yeah.
But let's get an Airbnb and we'll do some podcasts. I'll get a downhill bike because I want to go and ride some of the downhill trails that I fucking grew up racing and riding. I would absolutely froth it. Glenn will be there.
Yeah.
We'll be able to do some shit. I'll drive up. I'll bring motos. We can fucking moto. It's at the end of the
sounds
year
the
too.
dream.
I'm keen.
And
there you go.
Maybe we go to Derby for a few days after it.
Yeah.
Oh, it all sounds the dream.
Let's work it out.
Well,
Yeah.
the world is our oysters, gentlemen.
Literally is. We can do whatever we want. If we can do it, we can do it.
Yeah.
All right, boys.
How about we plan on that?
Yeah, keen.
Sounds good.
Keen. Really keen.
It sounds too good to be true, but yeah.
This is our life, Ollie. This is what we do.
This is it.
Sick.
Make that hour drive.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's literally it, innit?
Yeah. The plane ride's going to be tough, but we'll figure it out.
Sit down, watch a film.
You drive an hour, you take a Xanax, you arrive on the other side of the world. It's fucking literally that easy.
Folks, thank you. Don't forget, if you don't already, Gypsy Tales, one of the best podcasts in the world. It's my favourite podcast in the world. Jase the G, as you just found out. Thanks to Goodyear for supporting this episode as well. Hopefully you've seen the content coming out by now. We've got Ollie's video, my video. And that's it and that's that. Don't forget, like, subscribe, unsubscribe, then subscribe again. And comment, like, share.
Ooh.
Dude, cheat code right there. Cheat code. Get people to unsubscribe and subscribe again.
Cool. I like that. I'll try that.
Thank you. Over and out.